Oh, let's try that again.
We did it, guys. We finished making the game.
Yes, it's done.
Yeah. It's a long time coming. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you too. Again.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that you guys can hear us and make sure everything is... the audio's good before we jump into this. I'm seeing people say we're muted.
Can we get a 1 in the chat if you can hear us?
Yeah. 1 in the chat if you can hear us.
Not looking good.
Okay. We still muted. Okay. Now I'm getting a good volume text messages. Okay, cool. So yeah, so December 2nd, that's the release date. That's when the game's coming out. We know everyone's been waiting a really long time to play it. And it's finally here.
Yeah, exactly. And in case you didn't hear me the first time, you can time it till New Year's hits at the correct time.
Yeah, it's enough time that you could pace the game and get into
just devour it in a day, whatever.
Get into the insanity. So we want to thank a bunch of people who supported us throughout the development process. Of course, my wife Cindy, our son Arthur, Brian YIIK, the game's producer, Alex, Tyler, Zapdy, Boy.
Spooky, Cheryl, Linguistic Spaceship.
Yeah, of course, Sneeze and Frail Dog and Hellcry.
Rion, Knights, Eli, Brendan Kingsley.
Yeah, you guys were super supportive throughout the development of the game, and it was, we needed to have this support to really get there. We are joined by someone else who is extremely supportive of the development of Y2K, and that is MrTenda, who is the developer of Starstruck Hands of Time. So he's going to join us today, and he's going to sort of help us talk about Y2K I.V. and do our best to take you through the history of how the game came to be.
Yeah, so let's pull him in.
Oh no! He transformed. That's true.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you sound good.
The release date is so soon. I've already played the game. The game is so amazing. It's really a triumph. It's really something special. So congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
An awesome occasion.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so where we wanted to start today was by looking at some of the earliest stuff that we produced for Y2K. Back in 2014 was when we first had the general idea to make the game, which is a really long time ago. And I don't want to do the math, and I don't want anyone to actually tell me how many years ago that was. I don't need to know that information.
No.
So I went digging through Dropbox, and I found some really old mock-ups. So Brian and I have like a technique for when we develop our games where first we start with a screenshot mock-up, just to sort of imagine what the game could be. So here we have the very first Y2K screenshot with a typo in it. It's interesting because when you look at it, it actually looks a lot like Y2K I.V.
Yeah, it does.
This sort of like bold color backdrop was something we've wanted to do really since 2014. And then somewhere along the way, we got talked out of it by people at conventions and other game developers who told us that oh, you need to have a battle background. Every game has a battle background. Of course, in IV, we have a hybrid. We've got some areas that have detailed backgrounds and some places that are, the sort of more stylized.
Right, because sometimes you want them, and sometimes you just want to see it with just the color.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was the first. We made this on New Year's. The first day of 2014, we put this together. I think we started it at maybe 10 p.m. and we were done by 1 a.m. with a bunch of these mock-ups. So this was the first one. I've got another one here. This was the first Essentia art. This was produced on the same day, actually. I checked the dates.
That's funny. I didn't know she went back that far.
Yeah, so the Essentia has been there for a really long time, really since like the earliest seeds of the idea. And let's see what else I have here. The Golden Alpaca was also present from the very beginning. We're going to go through like the first prototype that we made of the game. And you're going to see the Golden Alpaca as like original sort of narrative inclusion. There's also this, which was like an early look at the town. It's funny because like none of these characters made it into the game, but like there's a certain charm to them that like now I look back and I go, oh, I wonder, you know, who's the guy on Alex's right and who's the kid with the dog. And
yeah,
I kind of wish that those characters ended up in the game.
Yeah, I wish I could play like a version of this.
That would be pretty cool.
Interesting to see.
And then here was, you can see Vela's here, very early Vela, next to the shady guy. I'm pretty sure in my head, the guy with the hood on was a drug dealer.
Yeah, I feel like he's Alex's dealer.
Yeah, I think that's what that was like a very early, edgy plot idea we had, where Alex was going to try and buy drugs. I don't think Alex was ever going to get them. I think it was like something he was going to attempt to do in the game. Let's see. Oh yeah, so this people probably have seen. This was like the very earliest Alex's room. You can see it's kind of similar. It's the same idea as what ended up in the game.
They've probably never seen Michael in that room if they haven't seen this particular image.
Yeah. Alex still has the same posters, and he has the same record collection too. And then, okay, so this is really fun. This is actually the very first artwork ever produced for Y2K.
That's funny. I barely remember this.
This was done the week before.
Wow.
So this was at the third week of December in 2013.
Okay.
And it's interesting because you were trying a few different styles. There's some more images of this girl.
Okay,
It's interesting because a character who is a lot like this is in IV. I'm going to write it on the screen so Brent knows who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was completely coincidental, but it's almost like the idea was still in your brain and it came out eventually.
Yeah, I guess so.
This woman has been trying to manifest her way into Y2K for a really long time. Let's see, I got one more here.
Nice.
Yeah, this screenshot here. Yeah, this is a very different art direction. I wonder what the game would have been like had we actually made it look like that.
Yeah, I wonder.
What do you think looking at that, Max? What's your take on it?
Well, she looks really angry. She looks like she's about to do the Maori haka dance, like in the Australian Parliament or something.
Yeah,
maybe that would have been her plot line.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another fun thing we're going to show today. Let me open it now. Let me just adjust my computer volume here. Okay, cool. Okay, so here we have the very first prototype ever produced for Y2K. Give us 1 second. We're going to switch spots. I'll take those headphones. So this is what we made as our proof of concept to see if we were actually going to make this game or not.
So was this made for like publishers in mind or investors?
Yeah, exactly. So
I see.
We had made the... Okay, so basically we had just finished making Two Brothers, and we had planned to go to PAX and show Two Brothers again. But we didn't really want to do that. We wanted to be working on a new game, and it felt like a little redundant. So we had booked a booth at PAX, and PAX was, I think, like maybe 30 days away at the time.
Yeah, it was something like
30 or
days.
40 days. And we challenged ourselves to produce something new. Okay, so you're going to see right away the ideas about Alex's character were present from the very first prototype. So here you have Alex talking to a familiar figure you're going to know. Do you want to advance to the next?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so here's talking to...
What's the game they're playing? It looks like ass.
Yeah, that's Two Brothers.
Oh.
So what's funny about this is right away we had this idea that Alex was going to be doing this sort of like a, sort of like obsessed with his game from his past kind of thing, talking about video games like a sort of like hipster of the era. And Panda was present right away. It's interesting because like there's some stuff that feels like it almost feels like a really budget version of Y2K, like a really like jank version, almost like it was made in 30 days.
Yeah,
like a Y2K fan game.
Yeah, almost like that. So here's the funny thing about this: because of how like quickly this was programmed, it's actually a challenge to interact with certain objects. Like the game like fights.
Yeah, it seems to be something about the faster computer.
Yeah, so there's some severe jankiness to
Yeah, so you might see me walk up and try to interact with something a lot.
Oh wait, go back.
Oh,
that's okay. So like you're gonna see like there's some crazy similarities to like the final version of the house, but everything's flipped. So like and I'm not even sure why we ended up flipping it, but like Alex's room is on the opposite end of the hallway. Yeah. And Alex's mom she looked different.
Yeah, she's there but different. Alex looks kind of different too. His hair is a lot more plain.
Yeah, Alex was less hip back then. He was a bit more of a...
Let's see if I can get down these stairs again.
Yeah, so Brian's going to have to fight against the... Okay, so let's see if we can...
There's something I wanted to ask. I noticed that, the music, is it the same as the final game, or it sounds very similar? And I'm wondering, like, was that originally in this build, or did you go back and, like, update the music?
No, this was in this build. The house theme remained from this build.
Oh, cool.
There's a couple tracks, and I'll point them out as we go through. I'll also try and read the dialogue. Want to go play in traffic? Do I ever? In all seriousness, what's up? That crazy goth girl standing in the middle of the road. I was thinking about trying to get some pictures before she gets hit by a car. Are you down? Sure, why not? It's so funny, like, it's such a bizarre world version of the game that everybody knows.
Yeah.
The town is very colorful.
It's funny because the town is basically just this, but you can imagine what it would be like if you ran in a different direction.
Yeah, it gives the impression that there's a lot more to it. Vela was always edgy. Holy cow, you weren't kidding. Hey Vela, what are you doing in the middle of the road? Are you trying to get yourself killed? What the hell is going on? Jeez, this girl gets weirder and weirder each day. Alex, Michael, I found another riff. It's right here. So a funny story about this. JF from Tribute Games was playing the demo at PAX, and he's playing it and he's smiling, and he takes one of his headphone ears off, and he looks at Brian and goes, "Is this supposed to make sense?" That stuck with me. We never lost that is this supposed to make sense aesthetic.
That's funny.
What are you guys looking at? Alex, I see him. Just as we suspected, a golden alpaca. Let's go after it. Actually, I love the way this area looks. I think this area holds up.
Yeah, it's
just the
cool.
entrance.
I think so too. I was actually wondering, I feel like this area, we'll see more of that as we go on. It reminds me a little bit of the first part in IV that you could see in Nameless Psychosis. Was that like conscious at all, or do you agree with that at all?
Yeah. It was conscious.
Oh, okay.
We definitely we felt like something of the original identity was lost throughout the development of the game. And we tried to sort of get back to the original essence and like what made us excited about it in the first place. So that was like a big part of developing this. That's the early design of the Soul Survivor.
It's funny because we have the Polaroid now in the game.
Yeah, the Polaroid is now a big part of the game's story in IV. So like originally we had this idea that, you know, Michael had these Polaroids of these people who were moving in and out of reality. And like you can kind of see that there's the way that the characters are talking to each other, the general vibe remains the same, you know, like the way that the character dynamics. Oh yeah, and Banish was already a gameplay mechanic.
I feel like putting Banish into the demo put a lot of trust into people playing it.
Yeah, that they actually read the... Yeah.
So did they?
I think they did. I don't remember that being an especially huge problem.
Yeah, I feel like that was actually pretty okay.
You can actually see the alpaca over here.
Oh yeah, the golden alpaca's up top there, framed with the halo.
Yeah, that's cool. I believe his head follows you, technically.
Oh, does it?
I think it does. I'm like 90% sure. It's like really subtle.
This area looks pretty cool too.
Yeah. I like the one that's made of the slices over there. And the car
that is
orbiting
cool.
it.
So where is this supposed to be, if I can ask? Like, is this part of like, is this a location that makes sense in like the current Y2K, I don't know, cosmology, or did you have like an entirely different idea?
The idea was just the demo at the time. The idea was, you know, basically like we had loose ideas of who the characters were and what their dynamics were. But
I meant like where are they supposed to be? Like where is this place?
it's a rift in reality. That's all it was at that point in the game. And it was mainly just at that point an excuse to have a dungeon. You know, it was just kind of like, well, we know there's going to be things with reality breaks. Like that was like an idea we had. And okay, so like the very first idea we had for Y2K was we noticed that in 2014, all of these guys started dressing like their fathers. So everyone kind of looked like a time traveler. So that gave us this idea of a character who's stuck in a particular era, time traveling in the sense that he is stuck in one place and time has moved on without him. And that was like the very early working idea of what the plot was going to be. And then, you know, here the ideas were just very...
Actually, where was I?
You're by the
So you had
stairs.
that even at this, the time thing was even at this stage.
Yeah, because it was an observation that we had about basically our generation at the time, like especially at the community college we were at. Like everybody was, you know, doing the time traveler aesthetic. Hipsters were like such a big thing at the time. Hipster means something different now. And another interesting thing is the Essentia's role was something we kind of already understood, that her presence wherever she was some sort of break in reality. Where she was present, it was you know, symbolic of Alex encountering some sort of tear.
So did you have any ideas for what the meteor was in the background, or you just thought, oh, let's just put something?
No, the meteor was related right away to whatever the Y2K disaster was going to be. And we knew that the Y2K disaster had to do with Alex's time traveling.
And had to do with Final Fantasy VII?
Of course, yeah. Of course,
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII, yeah. Because that's part of you know, Alex's whole shtick, that he's like the gamer in the past, viewing things through the lens of the games.
Flipping. It's really weird to see the characters moving so smoothly.
Yeah. There is some stop motion animation here.
Yeah, it's slowly starting to get introduced.
The funny thing about these battles here is there was no like proper battle system yet. Like these are basically like essentially different levels it's loading into with different, like, how you can explain it better, Brian?
Yeah, it's like each one's like its own Unity scene. And we knew we weren't going to do it like that, but just to get it done within those 30 days, it was the quickest way.
It would be really funny if someone were to tune into this and think that this is IV.
Yeah, IV's done, guys. We did it.
So I've got a question here.
Sure.
I've got a question for you guys. Okay, so here's my question about the prototype.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff. There's some stuff in Y2K, especially towards the endings, where the game itself makes reference to the idea of cut content, or another version of the game or something like that. So what I want to ask is, how important is understanding Y2K's development history, in our world here, to understanding Y2K's story?
I think that's a really fun question. I guess what I first want to say is I think people can enjoy the game and enjoy the story if they don't know those layers, but we've gone out of our way that the game is something you can enjoy at multiple different sort of levels of analysis. So like if you want to take a look at all the different prototypes and see how they all sort of fit together and sort of inform the greater, like, the greater layers of the storyline, like it definitely is there. But it isn't something that we don't want people to feel like it's required to enjoy the game. Like if diving into stuff like that is not your jam, it's not required. But you will be rewarded greatly if you actually pay attention to that stuff and see how it all fits together.
Right. But also feel free to ignore it, because,
So what I'm hearing now is Alex's different flannel and shirt is highly significant here.
Potentially.
Actually, I like this color palette better, but that's just rose tinted glasses.
Yeah.
This track is in the final game, actually. Oh yeah, Panda Barrier.
I'll do Panda Barrier.
You guys ready for another question?
Yeah,
please.
Sorry, Brian.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, so you were talking about the whole history behind this, and you made it in 30 days, and you brought it to PAX. And so what happened then? Like, you saw people playing it. Like, how did everything go?
It actually, okay, so in 2014, PAX was I think that was kind of like the height of PAX East, because so many people were hungry for interesting indie games back then, and so we had a lot of interest. We had like a pretty long wait to play the game, and we had multiple potential publishers meet with us, and they played the game, and we had conversations with a variety of different funders at the event, and ultimately that's where we found ysbryd, who ended up funding and publishing the original game. I guess all of them, actually.
Were you watching? So you're watching the players playing. Like, what was it like watching them play it like that?
It was a little scary because it was such a new thing, and it was such a experiment, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we barely finished in 30 days.
Yeah, I think we were building, we built the day before was the final build.
And there's that real fear that everything's just gonna blow up on you, and you have no way to fix it.
And it was kind of one of those fortune favors the bold moments where we did this absurd thing, and then something about it spoke to enough publishers that we got some offers. The landscape was a lot different back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because people could look at this and go, "Oh, I see potential in this."
People go, "Oh, I could see how this could become a game." Now you pretty much have to.
Yeah, people want to see the full game.
Yeah, some of them even want a full game.
But the interesting thing is they would have been right. This did become a full game. Became a very good game.
That's true.
Yeah, and Somehow it became a pretty popular game too.
Yeah. And then it became an even cooler game, but that, you'll have to wait to see that.
Yeah, I was saying earlier to Brian when we were running through this, like, imagine if like we had like a, I don't know, we touched like a sacred object and like we had a vision of IV, and then like we spent like the next like, however many years chasing that vision, trying to get it, trying to figure out how that thing came true. It could be a whole game premise. Maybe that'll be the premise of the next Y2K.
Yeah.
We're not making more Y2K, that's a joke. This room has a cool vibe.
It does, yeah. I like this dead end down here. You just...
Elevator was present right away. Elevators were places where bosses came from. And that was going to be... We knew at this point that there was going to be online message board. Like, Onism was something we had thought of at this point, but there was like... We weren't going to try and work it into the demo. But like, I was going back through the notes that I had, and Onism was already something we were exploring with the concept of.
That's crazy.
So originally the elevators were where the bosses came from. It had nothing to do with semi or people disappearing.
Well, basically, since this is not supposed to be the beginning of the game, the idea was going to be Alex was going to encounter something with an elevator where someone was going to go missing. The specifics of that, I don't think that we figured those out until we were actually at PAX. Because at PAX, we were discussing what the game could be a lot. And a lot of the ideas came together and basically like the week or so after the prototype. I think this would have been March. I think probably by June, the entire storyline was outlined, and we knew like exactly what it was going to be.
By the way, I really like the ticking counter. That's such a cool vibe.
The funny thing is, this is an actual real-time counter in a turn-based game, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And this song is in the final game as well, but this is a different arrangement.
All right, when Vel's turn comes back around, I have to banish those guys.
I just realized there's no mini games in this battle system either, right?
No.
There's only a couple, like if you use photo shoot.
Yeah, photo shoot I think was the only one.
Okay.
We actually wanted it to be more like Dragon Quest. Like that was kind of like what we had pictured. Sort of like simple Dragon Quest battle system, and that was kind of play into the themes. But basically, like that was one of the things everyone kept telling us we have to stop. You gotta stop. You gotta stop with the simple RPG battle system. They were wrong in the end. Everyone was wrong. Turn-based combat with minigames is too much stop and go.
Everyone was saying that back then. I remember.
They were so wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're making a game right now and you're trying to put minigames in your combat, think of something else.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it can't be done, or it hasn't been, because it has been done well. It's just, I think it's much harder than it needs to be. You don't need to do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy actually has that stop motion effect on him.
Oh, so actually one thing, this was, so like what the character like Proto Ultima Alex is in the final game, this is supposed to be him. Like this was like a very early idea. As you can see, like Alex's fantasy, he commands an army of sexy men and women. He's got his Chippendales dancers and his goth girls.
So Alex's fantasy is to command an army of sexy women and...
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, and there's no pity system for randomness in this battle mode. It's just random.
That's pretty funny. Yeah,
So
all the
you-
music was also made within that 30 to 40 day window.
I like the visualizer over the amp.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so that's where the prototype ended.
Yeah.
And that's a cool color palette. Alex actually he looks too cool there. Like,
Yeah.
he looks like a cool guy. That's
Doesn't
too
even
far.
feel like Alex. It's like some other
We
guy.
can't have that.
No, we're not ready for cool Alex. The nature has not healed yet. Okay, so give me 1 second. Okay, now we're back to the cameras. Yeah, so that was the first prototype of the game. We have another one. We're not going to play through the whole thing because it's a little ridiculous of how long it is. But this other prototype was after the game was funded, and then this would have been. Let me see here. What folder is that in?
I think maybe I might have played some version of this. That might have been my first like glimpse into Y2K.
So I think you played at first at Camp Fangamer, I think.
Yeah,
So that would have been.
or maybe that was a different one.
Oh,
There's so many
that might have been the
Y2K
one after
prototypes.
this one, even.
That
Okay.
would be the one after this one, yeah. Do you know what year was Camp Fangamer?
It was in 2015.
2015. Okay.
I'll once we start playing it, I'll be able to remember.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let me open this up, and I'm going to play through this one here. I love how the default resolution is extremely low. I wonder why that is. Okay. Okay, let me adjust the volume on this because I have a feeling it's probably pretty loud. Okay, so this build is also from 2014. And interestingly enough, this would have been in December 2014. So the last one you saw was March. So this was everything that was produced actually between August and December.
I've never seen this title screen before. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I think it lasts like one convention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we showed this off at PlayStation Experience, and that was in Las Vegas that year. And we had voice acting in already because we actually recorded. So we wrote the script between August and actually it was between September and November because all the voice actors they wanted to be home before Thanksgiving. So we took like a week and a half to record the whole thing, and they all came in and they. We just like we did like 10-hour days to record the whole thing. It's like, I think it was like 8-10-hour days. It was exhausting.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of crazy to think that we got that much voice acting done that quickly. Not to mention the entire script on top of that.
Yeah, and then you were just kind of stuck with that for the next. I don't want to say how many years.
Well, it was a mistake to do it that way because you can't really edit the story once you've recorded the voice acting. It costs something like $50,000 to record all the voice acting. And then, once you've made that investment, you're kind of stuck with what
if
you
you're
have.
going to do that, don't have anyone give directions on a location that hasn't been designed yet.
Yeah.
But somehow it all worked out, actually.
It did work out, yeah. I think that's, once again, like the fortune favors the bold kind of thing, where sometimes if you just do something crazy and you just attempt it, it works out. I'm not going to say it always works out, but
Yeah.
a lot of times it does. It definitely doesn't work out if you never try.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out, you'll figure something out.
Yeah. You just got to roll with the punches. So you'll actually notice that a version of this is in the opening of IV with Alex on the bus. We actually took this out because I think it was Destructoid who had roasted it. And they they wrote like a really scathing sort of preview of the game, and they were like, "Oh, it's too long, and it takes forever to get into the game."
That's kind of unfortunate because I thought, I kind of like that. It seemed pretty good to me.
Yeah. At the time, I kind of agreed that it took too long to get into the game, but we were also playtesting it like all of the time, so we were constantly starting the game from the beginning again. So of course it would feel like that to us.
So were you there at PlayStation Experience? Were you guys there?
Yeah, we were there.
Oh, okay. So you what was the how did it go there? You saw a lot of people play it? What was the reaction like?
That was actually the most enthusiastic we had seen people, because there was a lot of RPG fans there, but they were, there are different types of RPG fans, right? Like you tend to see more Nintendo style RPG fans at PAX. This was more like Final Fantasy fans.
Yeah. Like PlayStation players who played PlayStation RPGs.
Yeah, it's a different crowd. So they had different reactions to it. Alex always had the biggest house in the neighborhood. And then here's a weird thing. This is his house.
Alex's house, but it's like millennial beige.
Yeah, millennial beige house. Let me see. Yeah, so his room.
It looks like his mom decorated.
Yeah. My mom wouldn't let me bring my games to college. Glad I'm home. That line actually always got a laugh at PlayStation Experience. I remember that was one that people enjoyed. And then, yeah, we had the voice acting in already, so this is going to be voiced.
Alex, dear son of mine, please see if you can muster up the energy to walk into town and pick up some groceries.
Does Alex have the biggest room in the house? Asks Shadow. Yeah, absolutely. Of course he does.
Yeah, I think he might.
Special little boy needs the biggest room. You'll notice the artwork is different from the other prototype. So at this point...
Oh, yeah, the phone ring is different.
Yeah, different sound effect here. This also has a different panning effect on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going through both my ears.
Yeah, it has like a stereoizer.
Yeah.
My stream is a little behind, but I've never seen that Alex character portrait before. I've never seen that before. That's like totally new to me.
Yeah, so Brigid had drawn a few different versions of it. Like obviously there was what she drew for the prototype we played before, and then she did this version here. This is beautiful. I love this area. I think this just looks amazing with the mountains in the background and
I always
the
like
fog.
the camera motion here.
Yeah. I get nostalgic for this area.
Outside of town, I came to a junction. Mulling over the strangeness of being back home, I stopped to notice a forest I'd never explored. It was dark, but somehow attractive. I made a mental note to explore it later. I pictured what it would be like to be the owner, and I imagined describing him to a friend. Lonely? Nah. I don't get to my
This is basically like it was in the current one, so I'm going to impatiently jam through it. So the overworld is funny. It wasn't complete yet, and Alex was not yet a short RPG style character. We came up with that idea to give him like the Cloud Strife hair. I think like maybe a week after we came back from this convention.
Yeah. There's some weird fog on the mountain up there.
So here, in this version of the battle mode, we started to have some mini games in here. And they were still less involved
Yeah, I don't
as the
think your
final
main
ones.
attack was one, right?
Yeah. I think it was a year, or it was March the following year that we added the mini games as people know them. And these are really hard to pull off because they're not, nothing's telegraphed because like the system really wasn't yet in place to let you know that, like, you know, the get ready. I love the lighting in the windy field here. It has this sort of Instagram filter on it.
Yeah. And the fog is cranked up a bit higher.
Yeah. But no Jocasta.
No.
This area was missing a dark game dealer accosting you.
I will say she does make that better.
Oh, it's so much better.
So this map, is it literally like the same, you know, what made it into the final game?
Yeah, it is. It's the same. The color grading is turned off in the final game, which is kind of interesting. But you're going to see very soon that this is not the same. This is different.
I do think that is a pretty cool area. I like that.
Yeah, there's definitely good things and bad things about it. I like the angle.
I like this camera angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like, when we were near completing development on the game...
Maybe?
Let me see.
Let me see. I wonder if this is similar to that other bug.
I think it goes without saying that this does not represent the final product.
Yeah, we've definitely fixed this one. Well. I'd love to get in there.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Is this,
Can we leave and come
controller
back? You could give the controller a shot.
Let's see.
Are
Is
you
there
pressing
anything?
triangle?
Yeah, but it's just not working. So let me see if there's anything else I can interact with.
You
That'll
could
fix
also
it.
try leaving back to the overworld if it lets you.
Okay.
And then
I
coming
don't know
back.
if you can go back, but I'll try.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it wouldn't let you. But
Yeah, me too.
It's worth a shot.
If I remember correctly, here there's some kind of puzzle where you have to use both the ladders to get to the top.
That's right.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Okay, so this might fix it. Nice. We got the overworld music here.
I think that cat's waiting for you.
It's almost like the cat really wants us to go in the building. I wonder why that would be.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that the stream is going to be behind us a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Let me give it my best shot.
I can't believe it. We had no problem with this earlier.
Must be Y2K.
Gotta be. This is the Y2K bug they warned you about.
Yeah, this is that Y2K bug.
Okay, something does not want us to proceed with this particular build.
Alright, well, you can imagine if you had gotten into the factory that it would have been different.
Yes, it would have been different, and it would have been bad, and not as good as it currently is. So you can use your imagination.
Right. There would always still be something interesting because it's different.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah, like, you know, in here, like, there was a big puzzle with, like, a giant eye that was looking at you, and you had to run over it, and, like, pieces of the floor fell down and
This one
stuff.
have the bomb?
Yeah, this had the bomb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This dungeon, and the reason we weren't going to play the whole thing is because it was, like,
It's pretty big.
It's like an hour and a half to get through the whole dungeon. It's too big. And that was basically what we realized when we showed it was when you know how to play the game, it feels like a really short dungeon. But then when you see someone play it the first time, it actually is sprawling and overly convoluted.
Right. It feels like playing like the Metaphor demo or something.
Right. Yeah.
So you had an hour dungeon in the PlayStation Experience, like
yeah,
demo
it was
at the convention.
Yeah, it was a learning lesson for us.
Yeah.
And
some people played, some people watched their friends play and took over.
But the PlayStation Experience was weird back then because they allowed alcohol because it was in like a casino or a hotel or something. So people were they were in it for the whole time. They were just drinking and playing through the game. And especially like there was one day that was on the slower end. And so people were just willing to just sit and go through the indie stuff. And then we learned a lot about it, about how people were going to see the game when they first touched it. And we came back with a lot of knowledge and a vision for sort of where it would go forward. Like a convention, especially if the game is not far along, is a really good way to figure out what does not work in your game.
That's so true.
Yeah,
which is
very true.
Why we really liked doing the conventions. I mean, we did a ton of conventions for Y2K. Like I think a big reason so many people knew the game when it came out was because we were, basically at every single convention every year for the development cycle. I mean, even at like Tokyo Game Show, and then ysbryd had shown it at Gamescom. So it was like, it had some presence everywhere. And it definitely helps. Okay, so I do have some other builds. Let me see what I got. I have to unzip them though.
So Brian, was that actually were some of those animations actually the same animations in the final game? Because like some of them looked a little familiar.
That's probably the case. I wasn't paying too much attention for that particular build, but I feel like some of them definitely made it through all the way to the end.
I gotta say, it's a little weird seeing Alex move not in stop motion. I feel like he's like about to come to life or something, like
It's-
a Sonic EXE type.
Yeah, he
of
looks
thing.
like a guy in a mocap suit.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a mascot, like at a Disney World or something.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, it was. It's very weird to see. So I'm not entirely sure what to do. I could try and pull up one of these other builds, but honestly, we would have to play through everything we did already, which I guess we can do. Let me do the 2015 version, which is going to be pretty similar, I think.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if that ladder bug was fixed up by then.
Yeah, I imagine it probably was. It's funny because I do remember being at a convention and the ladder bug happening and it being like feeling like the end of the world.
Is Windows fighting you?
Yeah, Windows thinks these are viruses. The Y2K virus.
There it is.
And that's it. Did you have any more juicy stuff to bring up, Max, while we install this?
Okay, I got a question for you guys.
Sure.
And this is maybe related to Y2K as a whole. I've been wondering this because I played Golden Sun, I think maybe less than a year ago or within a year. I was wondering, has Alex played Golden Sun?
Yeah, I would say Alex has played Golden Sun. I actually think that Alex has played every game we've played. But he hasn't beaten every game we've beaten.
I see.
And that makes us stronger.
Yeah, that's why we're better than him. Because we have platinum trophies.
So which demo? I remember you guys also had a demo that was at Gamestop, right? And the Gamestop.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, that was such a cool opportunity. That was
Yeah, that would have shown off the Windtown area.
Yeah, that would have been Windtown. That was actually a really big challenge to put together. That's basically shipping a whole game. There's so much compliance you have to do.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't say the specifics of it, but it's hard. It was a challenge, and we even had to re-record we had to re-record some stuff from the game because like Alex is, you know, SNES man 99, and they're like, oh, can you make this PSX man 99? So we had to make that change. Okay, so I got another build. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so this is probably the title screen you would have seen when you first played the game. This may have even been the first build you played.
I think it might have been, yeah. Yeah, this is looking kind of familiar.
I wonder why her voice only comes out of the left speaker here.
Oh yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird.
I feel like it did it not do that in the other demo, or does it do it in both?
I think it did it in the... Can you skip this? Probably not.
Hard to say.
Let's see. No? Okay, so it looks like we're in this for the long haul.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised you can't skip it, considering
Yeah.
it was for a demo.
Well, you know, we had a lot of mistakes were made.
Yeah, no, they're gonna want to watch this.
Yeah, this is going to be vital.
So the new YV intro, it kind of reminds me of this cutscene in a way. Was that like something you guys were thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those things that I said, like, we felt like the spirit of some of the spirit of it was lost.
Right, and this no longer fit into the vision for IV, but ideas from it could fit in.
I think it did fit in. Like, I think the new like intro cutscene, that's definitely a highlight of the game. So
Yeah.
there's some of that spirit from you.
Was the panda guy wasn't in the other iteration of this, right? I think the panda guy was new to this version.
That might be true. I don't know, maybe if someone in chat saw the panda guy.
So
Yeah.
who is the panda guy?
Panda guy was supposed to be like the guy in the panda costume who's controlling the stuffed panda. Like if there was like an actor, if this was like a movie that was being shot, panda guy was like the actor in the panda costume that the CGI would go over.
I see.
Alright, somebody said the panda guy was already there in the other one.
Oh, okay, cool.
My
I'm
white colored
gaslighting myself.
arrived in Frankton on a perfectly beautiful Sunday evening in April. 2 or 3
And at this
bursts of
point,
clouds,
did the name
light and tiny
Yick or
districts
Yeek, had
in the
that
sky,
been born
or like
yet? Or are
punctuation
we still in
placed
that,
with
in the
exception.
Y2K?
Honestly,
era?
I feel like that kind of happened from the very beginning. As soon as we added the Roman numeral 2.
Yeah, I think this title screen had the final logo on it.
Even the crumpled soul
Because basically the final logo was produced pretty early on.
proud sparkle, like a diamond at the bottom of a lake.
I always like these cyclists.
Yeah.
We got those back into IV, so the cyclists are now back.
Oh, that's true.
Display. I was homesick, although dreading my newfound lack of freedom. Sadly, I was
So let me ask you guys something if I can.
15.
When
Sure.
you were, initially with the the first prototype you showed, you were, first time showing the game to the public. What was like the elevator pitch for Y2K? How did you first like say like, here's what our game is, to let's say publishers or investors?
That's a really good question. I don't know if I specifically remember what we were saying.
Yeah, I remember it more from like this time period than the very first PAX, but I imagine we were probably highlighting the fact that it was a game about people who are like a turn-based game with about people sort of like involved in like sort of like internet conspiracy theories and those like leaking into the real world. Like I think that's probably what we were saying
That sounds familiar
about
to
it back
me.
then.
few hundred yards. Mulling was lonely.
I do have to say, for anyone who's, I don't know, you know, there's probably a wide range of ages of people watching this. Like, as someone who was around back, you know, this, or someone who's, I guess, a millennial, this is very, like, Alex is very millennial coded, like, as in a, like a very 2014 millennial coded. Like, he perfectly captures what was going on back when this prototype or demo was made.
Yeah, he was a real type of guy who is probably still walking around.
I noticed the font changed. Now we have the sprite-based font.
Oh yeah, this is more of the RPG Maker font. A lot of the music is, at this point, was complete, so I think it would have been, most of the stuff you're going to hear made it into the final game, with some exceptions. Like, I think the dungeon theme might be different in this one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I forgot about the old smiles. That's a good point. They became like the smiles that we know today, with the sort of spring on the bottom and the suction cup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these smiles, I've never seen these before. I guess they didn't make it out of this era.
No.
Yeah, we kept the name, but the
Well, the name kind of works better for the new enemy. They weren't really smiling that much.
right. I think that's why I changed them. I remember the very first prototype when I was looking at it had like blobs and globs, which were like the same enemy, just different colors. And those were kind of like our slimes originally, but the smile kind of, in my mind, is the slime.
Joe Costa objectively made this game better. That is
Yeah.
100% what Y2K has been missing all these years. The game was
Can you
never
imagine
gonna
that?
reach its full potential.
I was gonna say, can you imagine if you had her at the PlayStation experience in this build?
Oh man, it'd been so based.
Alright, if this ladder betrays us, I don't want to see anyone carrying the ladder around throughout the whole game anymore.
So, by the way, Linguistic messaged me saying, if it doesn't work, maybe try some other buttons like I or E
I tried
or R.
all the buttons, but
Oh, you tried
I
I,
do
E, and R on the
appreciate.
keyboard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you should be able to just place that and climb that guy. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what was supposed to happen.
Was that so hard, Alex? You mother...
I'm just glad I don't have to fix bugs in old software.
So, like, this remained. This is identical to... this is even still an IV, this exact room.
Yeah. Congratulations, room asset. You made it
Yeah.
all the way to the finish line.
I think there's going to be an obnoxious sound effect in here. And then now Alex looks like he does in the final game.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the only thing that's going to really be different here is, like, these assets. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm curious to see.
Yeah, this is the same. So, once again, a Bizarro World version.
Oh, it's like flipped.
Yeah. We actually stopped using the lighting here like this because it did not work on consoles.
Yeah, it ran really bad on consoles.
And there was no way to fix it back
Not
then.
to mention on handhelds. And
Hey, who's there? Don't come any closer. I'm armed.
Relax and quiet down. It's me, Tenda.
Panda?
I came here to help you. I'm always there for you when you need me.
That's good to hear.
My primary use is as a bear. I can
Okay, we all know this.
remember to also remember.
So,
I hope so, Alex. It's rather.
This was always where people got intrigued by the game as soon as they got to this room. This was like a visual that benefited the game to have in
yeah,
here.
and this puzzle made it.
Yeah, this puzzle made it.
Oh, check out that panda icon.
Oh yeah, that's cool actually.
Should be it. Yeah. I think this was the first proper puzzle I made for the game.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get to make another one for like weeks after this because I was busy doing other stuff.
That's why in this build it's the best puzzle in the game at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
No reward
So,
for
like,
getting...
I was gonna ask, you know, you guys, you know, you have a publisher at this point, and I assume you're sending them like regular builds. Are they
Yeah.
actually playing them and giving you any feedback or anything?
Yeah, they were. They were... I know the first build that they really got excited about was the Windtown build, which was probably the next build after this one. That's when they sort of felt like they could see the vision. And, you know, they were... like, at this point, like, they had read the full script because we were going to record the voice acting. So I wrote the script, and they read it. And, you know, they gave some feedback, and... I don't even remember what the feedback was, though, at this point. It's now been so long. I'm going to skip all
This
these
room
enemies.
keeps changing a lot.
Yeah, this is like one of those rooms where...
Like, this is technically still in the game. It's just...
Yeah. Here's a really weird story about this. The day we made this room, we had gone to see Interstellar. And then at the ending of Interstellar has a part that's a lot like what's supposed to be going on in this room. And I remember feeling really uncomfortable by that fact in the movie theater.
Oh, yeah.
Who's there? Dolly, is that you? Oh, great. Another person.
Hey, I can leave.
Sammy has a different theme here.
No, please stay. I've been pretty lonely here.
Where is here, anyway?
I was hoping you'd know. I've been lost down here forever.
I like the white floor.
Elevator too?
Yeah, the white floor is interesting, and I like the statues framing the scene. But I think that the tree that she winds up on is a lot more iconic
Yeah.
than this design.
It sounded nicer than the hell doesn't know what an elevator.
I came from here. Is there anywhere else?
So the stupid thing was a girl. I just assumed it was a.
This
that
is
the guy
working.
who looks like Salvador Dali?
Are you guys currently seeing the game on the stream? Because on our end, when our stream, it's just showing the... Oh, okay, there. It just wasn't... It was no
I
longer
see it.
live.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That is.
It is a. I told
Okay, this dialogue's the
you-
same.
Do you remember, like,
And Sam, you
how
know
much of
that.
the game had you made at this point? Like, had you made any of the other towns?
I think at this point we had gone to Windtown.
Yeah, but there was a few... I remember there was a room. It was a clone of Sammy's room where it had a bunch of windows that you could go to, and it linked to different parts that were in the game.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we had that at this point. And we used that for jumping around to test different locations.
Anyway, go back to the room with all the windows, find the big red button, and then use the magic carpets to climb to the next floor. Oh, one last thing I should warn you about. I've got a roommate. His name is Wilhelm. Well, you'll see.
Will I see? I don't, this is pure muscle memory right now. I actually don't remember.
You might...
I feel like I'm supposed to go up here.
Oh, you had to climb that like a ladder.
And then maybe I go up here.
That looks right.
Yeah, and I think I flipped the switch. This is really strange for me to play this. I haven't seen this in a very long time. Maybe here.
There we go.
Great. And I know I have to pick this ladder up.
Should be I.
Noticing, like, picking up ladders is a recurring theme here.
It was like the only gameplay mechanic we had at this
Try
point.
going into the window and coming back. See if that helps. Can you get Panda to flip it somehow?
I doubt it. Nah, there's no way. Okay, guys, this is why we made IV. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I guess that's where our adventure ends.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we're going to play of this one. That is really annoying. But, you know, what we could do is we could play a game that is not buggy and not broken in any way. Let's look at a trailer for that game real quick.
Sounds interesting.
In the year 54 AD, Nero ascended to the throne of Rome. Nero was consumed by his passion for the arts, his desire to be loved as an artist. But no one loved his art. They only feared his power, and his rule would soon give way to an unprecedented reign of destruction. Over a millennium later, in 1839, Richard Wagner arrived in Paris. Driven by his passion for opera, Wagner sought recognition as a master composer. But Paris rejected him, and a century later, his legacy would be wielded by history's darkest forces. Over and over again, the pattern repeats. A rejected artist, followed by unthinkable bloodshed. Did you ever want to be an artist?
No way, that game is out? I could play that game right now?
Man, this Y2K prototype's looking kind of weird.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think this trailer. Well, first of all, yeah, the game is out now. It's on Steam, and we're gonna show a little bit of it in a little bit. I gotta say, I want to say thank you to Andrew for really encouraging me with this trailer, pushing me along, because I wanted to cut out the voice acting, the narrator. And I was like, this is he's saying some stuff that's totally out there, and I don't know if people are gonna, maybe it's a little too out there and weird, but Andrew really said, no, you gotta do it. And yeah, I'm glad he did that, so thank you for doing that.
I'm glad that it came together.
Yeah, it's a great trailer.
Yeah, so Starstruck Hands of Time, for people who don't know, is a game that MrTenda programmed and directed and worked his heart out on for a few years. Brian and I contributed to the game. Brian did a lot of the visuals for it, and I did the soundtrack for it. And it's a really special game, I think. So I am very happy that we get to share a little bit of it with you guys. Can you explain what has happened up to this point in the storyline? Because we're going to jump in.
Yes. So are we in the cockpit right now or not?
Yes.
Yeah, we're in the cockpit.
Okay. So in the cockpit, you're playing as a character called the Captain. And the Captain is from the future and has come back in time to this time period right now to change the past and save the future. And in order to do that, he has to monitor and alter the fates of some characters who are living on Earth. And so right now we're playing as the Captain. When you go up to the neighborhood.exe and you select a character, you'll take the role as the Captain observing these characters, and you play as these characters down on the surface. And you can swap back and forth between the characters to progress the story. So I guess we're going to be clicking on Edwin. Edwin is a boy who plays the guitar, and he's very obsessed with his friend Dawn. She is very, very popular, and everyone loves her music, but no one really likes Edwin's music. And previously in the story, he had, played at her concert, and he's just kind of obsessed with being her in an unhealthy way. And so right now he's meeting this kind of statue character who is sort of like a demonic figure who offers you to turn you into what you want to be. So he already turned Edwin's friend into a statue of Dawn, their idol, and Edwin is trying to break her out of the statue, but he's also a bit like he wishes he could be that statue at the same time.
This game, what I find so special about it is you were really daring with the philosophical places that you took the story, but you still managed to do it without any pretentiousness. You know, like you're exploring very deep ideas like eternal recurrence of, you know, symbols coming out throughout various points of history. How did you balance talking about something deep while not making it a philosophical text dump?
Yeah, so actually one of the reasons I was trying to do that was because I saw, you know, some people, I love Y2K, I love Y2K 1.0, but I saw some haters out there, you know, they would find excuses to not like it, right? And I thought, you know, I don't want to give anyone any excuse to say bad things about the game. So I thought, how can I avoid that type of person saying that? And the idea was to try to make a story that is like a fairy tale, where people, you know, it still has all that stuff in there, but you might not even realize what it's about, you know, because it's just going to speak to a part of you that doesn't have the ability to disagree with it. That sounds kind of evil if I say it that way, but that was the idea.
It's more like you're in the realm of dreams. Then you're speaking to the unconscious of the player, rather than appealing to sort of like a propositional sort of like form of storytelling.
Well, here's how I look at stories, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree. I look at stories not as something you're creating. It's more like a science experiment where you have like all these scientific laws like gravity, inertia, and you're bringing these things into this science experiment, and you're saying there's going to be these cells there, and then all of that's there, and then the laws and the rules are going to play themselves out. And so what you're doing what do you do in a science experiment? You're trying to reveal those underlying laws. And so that's how I was trying to look at the story when I was working on this. The story is like a science experiment playing out that's revealing the underlying laws that are governing the story. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
It's less like you are trying to control the story than you are playing with the ideas that are coming to you.
Or not even me playing with them, you know, it's just the idea, you know, this is where it has to go. It's like, to me, the way I thought of that was like solving some math, you know, geometry proof or something like that, you know, this is just where the story would go.
Yeah, to me, it feels less like solving like a you know, a math problem, and maybe a bit more like judo or something, where you're reacting to the weight of something and the unpredictability of wrestling with the idea. And I feel like there's some give and take. Like there's some amount that you can push back against, like you can defy gravity at times, but ultimately gravity is going to win. And if you're doing it with enough, you know, if you employ enough technique, there are ways that you can, you know, push back against the weight of gravity, but ultimately, like, it's a collaboration with the forces of storytelling.
Yeah, that's definitely true. With this game, I think anyone who's into Y2K, they're probably, you know, you're interested in something that's a little more thoughtful. You know, I was one of those people too. You know, I would consider myself a fan of Y2K, you know, when it came out, or, you know, even before that. And so that was something I was very interested in. That's really what I tried to do with this game.
The game has a bold vision for how you're telling the story. How much of the vision was there from the start, and how much of it was the result of how much of the vision was revealed to you in the pursuit of creating the game?
Well, that's kind of what I was saying before. I started out with these basic ideas, which maybe I fully understood some of them or not, and then they would just play themselves out, like watching a science experiment, flow out. And by the way, maybe I should explain what's going on in the story a little bit.
Yes, please do.
So, Edwin is, he got home after his the concert, and he's just so consumed with, I need to be like Dawn, I need to be like Dawn, and so he ends up going into his mind in a dream, and you could see this dream looks like a fairy garden, because this whole story takes place in a miniature type of world. And Edwin, you could see it in some of the shots before, but you can see it in close-ups. Edwin is actually made of clay. So all these characters in the story are made of clay. And the captain from the future is someone who has hands that are big enough to manipulate the clay. And in Edwin's dream here, he's going to deal with his envy of Dawn and his desire to be her, and his feelings like that. Have you ever had a feeling like that? You know what I'm talking about?
I think
Maybe
I have
not so much.
analogies that I can relate to the idea in certain ways. Definitely not the direct feeling, but like I can definitely understand it. It rings true as a very human emotion.
Well, that's good, because if you had this feeling, you might, I might want to have a talk with you, because it's not a great feeling to have.
What was the how early on did you know that you wanted the characters to be made of clay? Like, and how much did that play into how the idea came together?
That was something I remember talking with Brian very early on. And I knew that there would have to be these two types of worlds in the setting of the story. There has to be this clay world, which is looks like a video game, and it looks a bit, it looks a bit fake in clay and like a video game. And there has to also be this other world, which is very realistic. And so I knew those types. The game would need these two different worlds from the beginning, although I didn't know fully where it would go. And Brian, do you remember? I mean, that was one of the first things you made, like, characters who were made out of clay, right?
Yeah, I do remember that. I know we had some earlier stuff that we were trying with like very flat look, but then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think once it went 3D, like the clay was kind of there from the beginning.
Oh shit. I love the element of this physical clay object that you photographed. That's very striking, because
that looks really cool.
It makes the serpent so uncanny. Like, the serpent does not belong here.
Yeah, that's one of the, Brian designed all the characters in the game except this one. I modeled it, designed it myself out of clay.
Looks great.
But yeah, we use there's a lot of like clay miniatures, hand sculpted stuff in the game that combines together with the 3D throughout the whole game.
This use of real life photography of these like physical clay models, it's so good. Every time there's like a moment like this in the game, it's very special.
And it has to do, it's not just a thing that, oh, it's cool. It has to do with the two different worlds in the game. There's the world from the future that is represented in this way, and then there's the world of the past, which is not represented in this way. So it's very important to the story, that decision.
It works so well.
And so this snake is a character or a force called the mold. And the mold is a force that will turn you into a statue of what you want to be, your biggest desire. It molds you into that. And so the mold is trying to tempt Edwin to become Dawn and give up himself and become Dawn. And the mold is also the force that the captain is trying to fight against to save the future. So all the character stories are very tied together. And, as you play through the different stories, you can understand the mystery of what's going on in the game.
there's an excellent use of symbolism throughout the game. Would you be able to talk a little bit about how you think about symbolism and how you structure symbolism into your storytelling?
Yeah, the whole story, I really focused on the symbolism. The biggest symbolism in the game has to do with the center in the corner. And Edwin is someone who wants to be the center. He wants to be in the center. But he's not someone who's at the center. Dawn is the most popular person. And it's like Dawn or the other, the center is the root of the tree, and Edwin is the branch of the tree. But what would happen if the branch of the tree wanted to become a root of its own tree, right? What would happen if the branch wanted to become a root? The corner wanted to become the center. If you take a branch from the tree and plant it in the ground, it doesn't, for most plants at least, that doesn't really work very well, right? But also, is that kind of unfair in a way? And this story is really about that, looking at that and examining that.
I think because you start with such an interesting symbol, and you build the game out of it, it leads to a very uncliched story. When I was playing through the game, I was struck by how few tropes are in the game, and how refreshing all the story beats are. And it's almost like you had a very pure starting point, so you didn't have to borrow from too many different things, which is very interesting given like the themes of the game and where the game goes in regards of how the past keeps coming back.
Yeah, I do think that if you play this game, you will get experience that you can't find anywhere else, just like IV. Well, not just like it, but both of them, you can get your very unique experience from playing those games.
Yeah, I absolutely. So Starstruck is out. It's on Steam. It's a great experience from a gameplay perspective, from a storytelling perspective. So I'm really proud that I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, same here.
So
the game came out on just 2 months ago. Just released it 2 months ago. It doesn't have a publisher. This is a completely independent thing, guys. So this is not like a money grab. This is in fact a money dump. This is really just for you guys to enjoy it. So if you're into this type of stuff that's different than other stuff out there, check it out. It's on Steam. I think it got an 8 from Edge magazine, 8.5 from Destructoid. I might have gotten those flipped, but it's gotten some good review scores. So check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. And by the way, if you're not the rhythm gameplay type of person, the game has an autoplay mode, and you'll still get a lot out of the story if you play it that way.
Yeah, it works really it works really well as a rhythm game, and it works really well as a narrative. So you can't go wrong if you're going to engage with that deeper rhythm gameplay. It's very effective. Okay, so we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then when we come back, we're going to do a Q&A in YIIK. So people who are not part of YIIK, please join. Come ask us a question. And so we'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we will talk to you all directly. We look forward to your juicy questions about IV or about Starstruck or anything we talked about here. We'll see you all shortly.
See you then.
Okay, we are back.
How's it going?
So, hey Max. Hold on. Oops. Let me just Okay, cool. So yeah, now we're gonna do the Q&A in YIIK. So let me pop in over there. Oh, so I actually forgot to mention earlier, the soundtrack for Y2K IV is now available for pre-order on Bandcamp. There are a ton of new tracks. We were actually just listening to some of them. You know, there's over 100 tracks. The Bandcamp has 100 of them on there. There's more tracks in New Game Plus that's going to release later. That'll make sense later, but for now, it's what you can have access to is the first 100 tracks. It's going to come out on December 2nd when IV launches. So if you didn't see the release date earlier, it comes out December 2nd.
It's pretty soon.
It's amazingly soon. I think it's 2 weeks from today.
Wow.
Okay, so MrTenda, I'm going to have you go over into For Your Voice. I'll have you go over to the Q&A stream on YIIK because it won't let me join two at once.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he can hear me.
I'm actually sure he can.
Okay, so yeah. So Max, I will have
Yes,
you
I'm
join
here.
us over on the Q&A stream in YIIK.
Okay.
And then, okay.
Cool.
Oh, I got
Gotta bring him up.
Yeah, inviting him.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Andrew. I missed Andrew.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
It's going
It's
good.
going good.
I hope everyone enjoyed watching the early prototypes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We are afraid to show any more of IV because, like, basically everything beyond the first chapter that we've shown is just so like different that like we kind of run the risk of showing too much. And you know, because we're about 2 weeks out from the release, it feels like
Yeah, but we so far have not shown
Yeah, what
too
can
much.
you show?
Yeah, it's like I
Yeah.
just got spoilers left for you guys. So.
yeah. So hopefully you were still satisfied looking at the prototypes.
Fuck ladders.
Yeah, the ladder system,
Yeah,
man.
how
What
did-
a
Yeah, I actually
I
played
always-
that demo a few days ago and I didn't have that problem.
That's good. I honestly
I
think it's
always
got
knew
to
that ladders
do
were enemies.
with the speed of the machine you're running it on.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
It seems like a very hyper specific. Like in my mind, thinking back to how the ladder used to work, I can kind of see why there might be problems with it. But I'm glad I don't have to fix them. So
Somebody said, wait, that wasn't IV, Tactical Potato. I hope that's a joke. I hope
think
that
that's
was
a joke.
communicated
I'm
that we
pretty
were
sure that's a
playing
joke.
really old versions of Y2K.
I think I know this guy, and I think he's
I
joking.
like the idea that we dismantled Y2K so much that it has regressed back to an early state, and then that's what we're gonna ship.
It was so much
goes
better
hard.
when it was broken and
Yeah.
and early on.
Couldn't pick up ladders.
Yeah, that was raw.
Yeah, so for the questions, we'll accept it on the YouTube live chat. In YIIK, there's a text channel. It's Q&A questions. Maybe people aren't not allowed to speak in it still.
Oh wait, hold on. We gotta invite Brigid to speak. I
Oh,
see
hey.
Brigid's in the audience.
Oh, snap. Yeah, let's get them first.
Hello.
Hey, Brigid.
How's it going?
It's
Good.
going good.
That was
so-
awesome. That was quite a throwback to see all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I forgot half of it. So
Yeah, it was really. What was the weirdest part? Oh, so for people who don't know, Brigid is our sister. She did the character portrait art for Y2K. What was the strangest part for you to see? Like, what was the most nostalgic or maybe the most terrifying aspect of all that old stuff?
I think seeing the original demo in general really brought me back to being at PAX the first time. That was really crazy. Seeing the old character artwork, also I was like, oh, cringe, like it's so bad. But seeing the original screenshots that you guys made, that was really cool because I remember sketching some of those characters after Brian 3D modeled them, like on paper,
yeah.
and that was really fun.
Yeah, it's I remember the sort of mad dash of like, I think the character portraits for the original prototype were put in, I think, some of the last things. And I remember, so like when we were trying to come up with the party for the prototype, we were trying to think of character ideas. And we're like, hey, what about our cousin Michael? Wouldn't it be cool if our cousin Michael was just a character in the party? And then Brian's like, yeah, Michael would look cool as a party member. So he modeled our cousin, and then eventually he became the character Michael. And I think Michael even came over and stood for some of the poses.
Yes, he absolutely did.
Yeah.
Those are genuine Michael poses. Those are things that he actually can do.
Yes. And he also does walk around with the camera at all times.
Yeah, both are a talent.
Yeah.
Very true.
The standing and the camera.
Yeah. Okay, so linguistic, who should we bring on for the first question?
We have a few text questions right now.
Okay.
The first one is asking about how many battle tracks are in the game now.
Ooh.
I have a really bad habit of not counting by specific types of tracks. I actually didn't even realize how many tracks I had made for the game until we were putting the Bandcamp together.
Yeah, because I forgot the amount of songs because I had like a list of them and it still sounded like insane because there's so much.
I think in my head it was like maybe 30. I was like, oh, there's probably like 30 new tracks, but no, it's a lot.
Yeah, at least 10.
It's at least
right?
it's at least 10, maybe even 11.
That's a lot.
Chloe asks, "What's your favorite song from 1.5?"
My favorite song is "Let's Kiss Like Dreamers," and then my favorite like piece of music is a track that Frail made for a location called the Interior Castle, and no one's heard that yet.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
one of my
like
favorite tracks too.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite track. But then favorite song, so it's like music with lyrics, is "Let's Kiss Like Dreamers."
Is your favorite? Brian, is your favorite as well? Like, let's Kiss Like Dreamers as well, or is there another?
I think
track?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I also like Analog Girl. That one has a special place in my...
Also good, yeah.
I never wrote lyrics until IV. Like, I was always afraid of writing lyrics. It was like this a thing I didn't think was possible.
I believe it's a motherfucking jerk. Is that...
Oh, motherfucking jerk. Yeah, that's a
fun...
Yeah, because the lyrics in 1.0 are written by someone else, right?
Yeah, Nico Sakalekos does... He did most of the lyrics. Actually, I wrote the lyrics to... Machine and the Crow. I did write those, but like because those are like weird and cryptic, I felt like I could get away with it. But I didn't have confidence in writing lyrics back then. But then with IV, it was all about playing and experimenting and just trying to have fun again. And in that sort of pursuit of fun, I found out I could actually write lyrics.
And this is to people in the stage channel. You can click on like the icon to like raise your hand, and then we can pick you for. You can ask a question in voice. Let me see. There's another question in text. It's asking about the old battle mode and if it's going to be accessible in 1.5.
Yeah, it is. You can play the old battle mode in 1.5. What do you have to do to get to it again? There's like a specific, like I think it's on New Game Plus you can get to it.
Yeah, there's a trigger in New Game Plus for it, and you can reset your EXP and stuff, so you can basically play through the new game the old way.
Yeah.
It's like a whole different way of playing the same thing, so it's pretty cool.
I think you're going to find, though, that the new battle mode is a genuinely fun battle system, and that it's also genuinely strategic.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the new battle system.
Yeah,
I think you guys are going to like it.
I think it's the best aspect of the game is the new battle system.
Okay, there's a request to speak. I haven't seen any in a while, so we're finally getting one.
Yeah. It's gold.
Hey, Gold.
See if we can get gold on stage. Give him a sec.
Except.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
There we go. I was wondering, is the element system gonna still be in the game?
Yes.
With whatever the hell that was?
Yeah, there is
Like
there is a version of it.
Yeah, some Kartas can actually affect what affinity you have as well, so there's a bit more strategy to it.
Yeah, completely. I was just sitting here, like, I just joined, I remember that even existed. So I don't know if it still was in the game.
It's still in the game. I think it works a little bit better now, but it also isn't that big of a deal still.
Yeah, it can affect your strategy a little bit, but it's not wildly as important as it was in 1.25, in my opinion.
Alright, yeah. That is at least good, because it's helpful that you're not like, oh, I'm building my card system, but oh no, this boss is accidentally of the wrong affinity of Alex. Now he's gonna be dead.
Yeah, it focuses more on the new systems. Some of the old systems are they're present in some way, but mainly it's about the new ideas.
Yeah, it does sound nice.
All right, I like that question. That's a good question.
Good
Bill.
question.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
just
Alright.
realized it. I'll sit out then.
See ya. I'm gonna do another text question.
Cool.
Let me see. Someone asked about the song "Battle This Time with Rhythm" and they're asking if the bongos were played live.
I don't think so. I don't think they were played live.
That song was by Jose.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Jose did that track, but I don't think he. I actually am pretty sure Jose wrote that track in his car coming back from Boston to New Jersey. I think his girlfriend was driving him back.
I was
and
gonna say who was steering. But...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the history behind that track, and honestly that's crazy. That's quite the artistic environment to be in a car with headphones. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not be able to concentrate at all making a track. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean that's going back to that.
Try not to hit other cars.
Right.
Yeah, that's that whole going back to like the the 30 or 40 days we had to make the prototype. So a lot of it was done in this very
sometimes
rushed
you just
way.
work out of your car.
Yeah, sometimes you do it while driving.
You don't have a real desk.
Yeah.
And you're driving.
Sometimes you're looking at your phone while driving, writing the script with one hand. Just
yeah, it's a reckless.
Yeah, the thrill of
job,
death
okay?
being so close is like what really makes the artistic creativity start flowing.
True. That's a good technique. MrTenda, you should use that in your next game.
I already
Nice.
did. I did that actually with Starstruck. I actually almost set my apartment on fire.
Can you tell that story? That's crazy.
Yeah, I was. There was a scene with fire towards the end of the game, and I was filming it with video because some stuff in the game is filmed with video, and I was filming it, and it started getting out of control, but I couldn't stop myself from keeping to film it, and the whole photo cube erupted into flames, and it was actually really, really serious. And even my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she came in, she was freaking out, and luckily it went out. I had to throw a whole bucket of water onto it. But,
Wow,
yeah,
that's how you make a game.
Yeah, so when we were making early on in Y2K, back when we used to work out of our bedroom, because we used to share a bedroom when we lived at our parents' house, Brian's computer caught on fire, and we had a similar thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I have fire extinguishers. Back then, there was not a fire extinguisher in the house. Yeah. I'm hoping you have one now.
Sometimes your game goes too hard, and
it sets your computer on fire.
Okay, I've got some questions. This one is from the chat here. It says, "Is PC Xbox getting the IV update?"
Yeah,
The
it
Microsoft
is.
Store.
Yes, it will.
And then another one. They're just asking about the OST, but I'll upgrade the question. Any chance to have Two Brothers re-released?
Yes, in some form that will hopefully happen. We are focusing on developing a new game because, quite frankly, there's a lot of us having to work on things that are old. That's becoming like a kind of annoying recurring motif in our life. So we are going to make a new
Gotta
game.
open up a window, get some fresh air.
Yes, yes. But I know people want access to Two Brothers, and I know people want access to the soundtrack. So there will come a point eventually when it's available in an improved way. So, I don't have much to say about it today, but it is something that we haven't forgotten about.
So that question that was just asked, are you? I want to confirm you're updating the Xbox port of the game.
It's not, so we don't have an Xbox port. We have a PC Game Pass. You could have bought the game on Game Pass and own it on your computer. They want to make sure that version is being updated to IV as well.
I see.
Yeah, so every place that you could have bought bought the original Y2K Postmodern RPG is going to get the update. And it should all be on the same day, unless there's something funky on a back end of a storefront, everything is set on.
You're right. It's all planned to come out.
Yeah, it's all planned to come out on the 2nd.
And that update is free, right?
It is free. IV is free to anyone who owns Y2K a Postmodern RPG. You will get the update, and if you buy a Postmodern RPG that on December 2nd, you don't have to pay anymore. It just comes with the game forever. We're not raising the price. You don't have to pay more money if you buy it going forward. It's still going to be the same price.
Right. You could buy it today and wait. You could buy it the day of.
Right. The other thing is, it is a free update. So if you do want to support us in some way and you already own the game, consider buying the soundtrack. Consider buying a piece of merch from y2krpg.com or the Ackk Studios store. Or even better, gift IV to a friend. Get someone to play it. That will really help. The more people we have playing the game the day of is going to be important. So
yeah. And to keep the shilling going real quick, somebody in the chat did ask a question about new merchandise. You guys have any new merchandise planned?
Yeah, we do. I can't go into the specifics of this piece yet, but we are going to do a VHS of Y2K the movie. That's going to have a cut of all of the cutscenes from Y2K on a VHS. So more details of that to follow. Maybe we'll talk about that for the anniversary in January. We are working on a Nameless Child plush. We have the design for that, so hopefully we'll be able to put that into production probably in January. And then we have some new posters planned and hopefully some acrylic standees as well that are in the works. So there is new merch coming. It's going to be easier to get it out now that we're not working on the game. That's a kind of a big time sink.
Yeah.
I'm going to get Will He on the stream. It's a familiar username. What's going on?
Oh my gosh. Hello.
Hello.
I would love to ask, I'm a really big fan of the Cape Juno location from the PAX demo and stuff like that. I would like to know why you guys keep coming back to that, because I know it's in deviation perspective and now it's coming back to IV, and I'm very excited for that. Okay, yeah.
That's a good question. Cape Juno is this may be obvious at this point, but I really like the sort of realm of dreams and the sort of ephemeral experiences we have in life that you can't really properly hold. I find that just really interesting for storytelling. And because Cape Juno exists in this sort of weird place where it's it is a location in the Y2K lore, but it's not an accessible location in a normal playthrough of the game. That place has that sort of function of a dream state.
That's true, and even when you're playing it, it's kind of got that dream essence to it.
Yeah.
And I always liked the area, but it was just made for the demo, so it didn't really belong to the game.
So basically what happened with us was we were doing so many conventions, and in order to get press to come and play your game and talk about it, you have to show something new. And we felt like we were showing too much content that was going to spoil the game, or it needed too much context. So we decided to make just a Cape Juno just as a one-off sort of narrative that was related to the story of Y2K, so that it could have this sort of like mystical place of like content. And then, but your question was, why do we keep coming back to it? And that is because it has that sort of role of the sort of like dream world in Y2K.
The mystique.
Yeah. So like, of course, the dream world is where, if you've read Deviation Perspective, that is where Kasagi X lives. His home is in Cape Juno. Interestingly enough, he lives in Cape Juno, Japan, not Cape Juno, New Jersey, which is the one that Alex visits. Yeah, so like it's almost like in some ways when I get to use Cape Juno, it's a bit like I kind of get to dream about a location and engage in stuff that's maybe more cryptic, because it doesn't have to follow the same rules as the rest of the story. So that I think that's why I keep coming back to it.
That's literally amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the good question.
Someone has a question for Brigid. Brigid, do you want to answer it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so they're asking if you have any favorites between the character sprite sets, any highlights in process of creating like the artwork for the game, and if you're planning on drawing any of the new characters for 1.5 from 1.5.
Okay. First question, favorites. I actually just find it totally hilarious that Alex yicking out has become such a meme.
Yeah.
That is, that's basically the highlight of my life whenever I come across anything focusing on that. So that's probably one of my favorites. Highlights of process creating the art. That was so long ago. And we went through so many iterations.
It was 3. It wasn't so many. It was 3 iterations.
It wasn't so many. But it was a lot of characters.
It's a lot of poses.
A lot of
to draw
work,
too.
for sure.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, if I could go back, that was so much fun. I can't think of a specific highlight. I think just like seeing the end product and finally getting the okay that like, oh, okay, this one's good. It's like relief. That was really that was the highlight. And I would love to draw some of the new characters. I used to draw on a Cintiq. I no longer have that, and my process has changed a bit. So my main concern would be, mimicking that exact style, which I know I can draw, but like physically with like the programs and stuff, I have different programs now. But I would love to draw some of the new characters.
We've definitely talked about it. Like this is not the first Brigid is hearing this.
We've talked about it for sure.
Yeah, it's just Brigid's very busy with working on a big project at the moment. I won't say what it is because it's her personal life, but she's not as free as she used to be.
Yes, but in the near future, I could be pretty free, so we should discuss that, guys.
Yeah, I would love to see maybe even like T-shirts that have like 3, like basically like 3 emotions of the new characters, like we did from the original.
Oh yeah, those were cool.
Like if you had like William reacts and Asuka reacts and Kasagi X, that would be pretty cool.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, I got 2 questions. One's an important question, and one of them's a really bad question.
Okay.
This important question is, if you have an existing playthrough, does it become obsolete after the update? So let's say you're in the middle of the game, you were just playing Y2K, and now it's December 2nd. What happens when you try to reload the game?
Yeah, so the game will tell you that the game will convert your stats to the new battle system, and it will give you like an approximation of where you should be. But it will also tell you that you should start the game from the beginning because you're going to have no context for what's going on.
Right. There are new cutscenes that you missed because they were behind you.
Yeah.
And there's new stuff related
new
to them
characters.
ahead of you.
Right. So that when you go into the events at the end of the game, while they're going to be familiar, there's going to be new stuff there. And you'll be like, who are these characters? Vela, what the hell is going on here? It's going to be very, very confusing. So the game will let you do it. We're not going to break anything on you. but we strongly encourage that you play the game from the beginning. IV has dual narrative now. You alternate between playing as Alex and the Nameless Child, so you're going to have missed...
we saw that in the demo.
Exactly,
Right.
Nameless
Even
Psychosis.
things that you feel like you've seen 100 times that I think are going to feel fresh to you.
Yeah, there's so many little details and also big revisions of how we tell certain aspects of the story. Well, it's
Plus that you're missing out on that new battle mode.
Yeah, so
it's so much better. You might as well play through it. Get the whole game that you paid for.
Yes.
And not skip out on it.
Yes. So try from the beginning. It's worth it. You're not going to be... If you've played Y2K to December 2nd at that point, you like it enough that playing it again, you're going to like it a lot more.
Right. But if you feel the need, you can save the data, then maybe start a new one and come back to that guy later.
Yeah, and then you can go, oh, they were right. I totally should have done it the way they suggested.
Yeah. The other question I had was, I'm trying to organically discover this hidden ending in 1.25 on PS4. Will the method for achieving the third ending be the same in IV, or is it changing?
It's the same. It has not changed. It will not change.
All right. I think we should get Seppu up here.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
If he's ready.
We should focus on voice questions. We've got a few people waiting.
Yeah, let's do it.
I just figured that first one was really important, and then the other one was just fun and dumb.
Ayo, happy release date announcement!
Thank you.
I wanted to ask both of you, what's your favorite new enemy that you've put into YIIK I.V?
Oh, favorite new enemy. There's actually a lot of good enemy designs.
So many good ones.
There was that Alex Imp that I had made on stream a while ago. I kind of like that guy.
I like Bella, the bee Vela.
That's a good
I think
one.
she's fun.
Yeah.
And if for people who watched the earlier part of the stream, we had the sort of like My Chemical Romance Soul Survivor characters. Brian came up with a new version of that sort of character, and that's in the game, and they're really fun. They also have a fun mechanic that involves shooting guns at you throughout the entire battle. So I like them. But the new bosses, though, like there's some new bosses, like especially like the bosses in New Game Plus, because there are different bosses in New Game Plus, like additional stuff there. Those are some designs I really like.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Totally agree. All right, see you later, guys.
Thanks for the good question, Seppu.
Let's go Chloe.
One more quick question.
Sure.
I know that I've seen this a lot. People are asking about 1.25, if it'll be available. And I know that you guys have said, like, first off, you can go to the old battle mode after you've gone through New Game Plus, as you mentioned earlier. But also on Steam, you can just revert with a beta key. Is that what you guys were saying?
Yeah, that's correct. And if you have it on itch.io, you could also just download the DRM free build and play it that way.
I think that's also true for GOG as well.
It should be.
Yeah.
All right, welcome in, Chloe.
Hi.
Hey, Chloe.
How's it going?
So I had a question about the Karta. So a while ago, I don't remember if it was in this Discord or the other one, Andrew mentioned that the Karta, the sort of the idea for the system came from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff like that. Where did the idea for like the stuff like actually depicted on the cards or the abilities come from? Was there any specific pieces of media that you pulled from for those or anything like that?
It's not specific pieces of media. Like before they had like story implications, like the very first idea was actually sort of an automatic writing session with the idea of having like characters that could fit, like sort of like timeless architects that would fit into multiple stories. Like I think that's how we started creating them.
Yeah. So like one of the ways we like to work, and there's a few exceptions to this, but one of our favorite sort of collaborative techniques is Brian will just design something that he thinks looks cool, and then we'll let the design tell us the story. We'll look at the character and we'll go, what is your deal? Who are you? Why are you in this world? and then that becomes like a sort of the design becomes the prompt for who the character is. And the Karta, Brian worked I think Brian made like all the Karta in like maybe 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it was fast.
It was really fast, and just like basically every 20 minutes, he's showing me a new one, and I was just like, these are so interesting. Because they have different proportions. They're larger than life figures in the world, right? And that's represented by the fact that they are literally like different proportion characters. Far more realistic in their designs. So yeah, being sort of like archetypal characters without actually being specific like archetypes that like we would use, like the hero or like the father, like the sort of archetypes as we know them.
Right,
like
they're not tarot cards. It's not Pinocchio. It's not.
Right. They are original Ackk Studios ideas.
Okay. Cool, thank you. Also, I didn't mean to imply that the cards were like derivative in any way.
No, of course not.
I wanted to know where the idea came from.
No, I didn't totally think you meant that.
Yeah. It's that didn't come off that way at all.
Okay. Oh, and also, is the physical deck of Karta still going to happen at some point?
Yeah, it is. We're trying to find the best manufacturer. We've looked at a few samples. So like there's some that we think are good. We're just trying to figure out how many we need to produce. So hopefully, once our plate is a little cleaned up, it'll be easier for us to get the merch out.
Yeah, because I would like to hold this as well. So.
Yeah, it'd be very cool.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for answering my questions.
Yeah, thank you.
So fun. I'll hop off now.
We're going to do Baku Kirby, and I'm going to do a text question after that.
Cool.
Welcome to the stage, Baku Kirby.
Hello, thank you.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Hey. Yep.
Okay, good. First off, how's your day going?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
That's good to hear. So, my question is, as early back as the revised Golden Alpaca cutscene, and with the recent trailers and gameplay footage we've seen, there is a lot going on with a lot of the cutscenes. Like visually, it does feel very movie-esque. And I wanted to ask, was there any specific inspiration for this? Was this always planned, but you couldn't follow through with it in the earlier version of the game?
We did want... So when I wrote the script, I imagined the cutscenes more like how they are in IV. But producing the game was very difficult. And making cutscenes is also very difficult. It really is two different skill sets.
Right. When we first made the game, we barely had like the tools capable of making cutscenes in a timely manner. So we have like a couple of things here and there, but mostly we really didn't have anything that was any good for it.
Yeah. So this is how we wanted it to be from the beginning. It wasn't realistic for us back then. But we made it a top priority for IV. And, the 1.25 cutscene was an experiment to see if it could be done. And that actually took a really long time. I think that cutscene took us like 3 weeks to make. But then by the end, we were doing like a cutscene in like two or 3 days. Because we just got faster at it, or we got better tools for it. And the cutscenes got way more complicated than the Golden Alpaca cutscene. Like that one is basically like, poses and camera changes. There's very little animation.
Yeah, by the end we were definitely like full on animating like entire characters and doing action sequences.
But in terms of like inspiration for it, we're not really the type of people who like will like look at like a particular like director or game and go, let's make our thing feel like this. It's more like we have like a, I think Hideo Kojima uses this metaphor, like you've got your diet of media and then your output is affected by the diet. So like there was definitely stuff that we were consuming while making the IV cutscenes that has like some of the sort of like aesthetic nutrition being passed out there. Like there's a movie I really like called Irma Vep, and I think that there's some of Irma Vep is in there aesthetically. I think the director's name is Seijun Suzuki, who did the movie Gates of Flesh and Branded to Kill.
Yeah.
We were watching a lot of his movies then, but there was definitely never like a moment where we were like, we have to make it feel like this thing. It was more like watching that stuff got us excited about cinematic storytelling.
Right, exactly. Like you absorb the essence of people who do good things, so then you try to reflect it back out the best you can.
You sort of, try and stand on the shoulders of those giants.
Right.
And let
you don't
them...
have to look specifically at what they did, just be inspired, I think is...
Yeah. And the inspiration in some ways is just motivation, right? Like inspiration
right.
is just
feeling, like I could do something.
Yeah, like I'm excited about this and you're excited about it, and our excitement fuels the other person's excitement. So like that's kind of how inspiration works for the two of us.
That's awesome to hear. That's actually a very amazing way to put that. Really, that's awesome.
Great. Well,
thank you so much. Again,
Yeah,
for answering
thank you for the good question.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
And can't wait to play the game.
Thank you.
To it. All right.
Thanks a lot.
You have a good stream.
You too.
Steve, you want to read out one text question?
Yeah, somebody was asking about the inspiration for the Golden Alpaca. Like, basically, what is the design impetus for the character, and why is he the way he is?
The new one or the old one?
Or the old one?
I think they're talking about both. If I had to guess.
So well, if you looked back at the screenshots we showed at the start of the stream, the Golden Alpaca was a sort of, I don't know, back then we thought it was interesting to make a Golden Alpaca as like just a 3D model. But the new Golden Alpaca, I think, forgive me for saying this, I said to Brian, like, I was trying to come up with like a new angle on it, and at the time I had thought of this filmmaker, Kasagi X, and how would he make the scene? And I was imagining this sort of like B-movie director whose fans in the West imagine as like this great auteur, but really he's just this guy who was making these movies of very questionable quality and morality.
Or high quality, questionable taste, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's a better way of saying it. And so I was like thinking, like, because a lot of Alex's world comes from media he's consumed. So, I had this idea of him having watched this Kasagi X movie a very long time ago. And then I was like, well, what would be like the most questionable version of this? And then I said to Brian, like, hey, could you redesign the Golden Alpaca to be like a furry thirst trap? And Brian looked at me and he's like, yeah, I think I could do that. And then he made the degeneracy you see now. Because like the idea would be like in the movie that the Golden Alpaca comes from, he's a guy, John Keebler, in a suit. So he's like in like a furry costume. And this becomes like this very famous character for the fans of the Kasagi X film, which is called Electric City Golgotha Crucifusion, I think was the name of the movie that the Golden Alpaca comes from in the Y2K universe. I sound crazy saying this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, but see, this is why it's fun though. It's fun because it's just like, oh, imagine if this thing existed.
Yeah. Hopefully there's some more light shed on that topic in IV.
Yeah, IV goes a little bit more into Kasagi X. Kasagi X is an important character.
So if you were confused by what you just heard,
yeah,
I don't know if it'll help, but there's
I think it'll make sense if you play it.
Yeah.
It's also available in the Deviation Perspective 1 thing, which you guys both have available on your store and on Bandcamp as well. And there's also the stream here.
Yeah, so we had made a short story for Y2K called Y2K Deviation Perspective Wrong Soul Requiem. And that coincided with the 1.25 update. So when we put that out, when we put out the 1.25 update, we put out a short story collection and a soundtrack to go with it. And that's where Kasagi X as a character is first introduced. You heard earlier in the stream, I had said that the panda guy in the original intro cutscene would be like the guy in the movie version wearing the costume to stand in for the panda character who's later CGI'd over. So like those were sort of ideas we were thinking about in the original, and you know they carry on into IV in more explicit ways.
Here's a question was asked. You already mentioned about how Michael is a party member and he's based off this real life person. They're asking if there's any other parts of Y2K that was taken directly from your real life.
Yeah, one time I saw a Soul Survivor, and I haven't been this. No, the character Wilfred is based off our best friend, and we had asked him like, hey, can we put you in the game? And he was like, yeah, that sounds sick. And we didn't like really tell him what it was going to be. We just asked him to record like some maniacal laughter, and you know, just like it developed into what the character is now. And you know, I think it's always interesting when you take a real life person and you turn them into the Y2K style, because they actually tend to be the more iconic looking characters, because it's just like, I don't know, like something about their IRL character design
Yeah,
just
I
works.
think I got a lot of practice doing that when we did the Two Brothers sprites.
Yeah.
Based on real people.
Yeah, so Wilfred is probably the probably a good example of that. There might be some others, but they're less direct. So like, you know, Alex is an amalgamation of guys that I knew.
Well, I know you had the phone call thing, which kind of made it into the game.
Yeah. So when I was writing the script, I was getting just like cryptic phone calls from people, and it was like maybe like 5 times an hour, to the point where I was turning my phone off during the workday. And then sometimes there'd be people laughing on the other end, or like hushed voices, like whispering to each other. And that went on for weeks. And then that became Alex getting the phone calls throughout the game.
Okay, let's get Lango Blian up on the stage. Invite to speak.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Hey.
Hey.
How's it going?
Doing good. Great job on getting to the finish line, you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I originally wasn't going to ask a question, but you mentioned the Y2K movie on VHS, and it piqued my interest. I was just curious. So as one of the people that's like, obviously all for this, and I'm going to be buying it day one and popping it into my VCR. Do you plan on, and it's kind of a dumb question, but do you plan on reformatting those cutscenes to fit a 4:3 aspect ratio?
They'll be
or is it-
letterboxed. It's going to be letterboxed.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
'cause
that was the only thing I was just
that
curious
basically would add like 6 months of time to making that thing, and it would be really hard to reformat
Yeah,
them.
some shots I'm not convinced would work.
Yeah.
Some might, but...
Yeah, so it's going to be letterboxed.
Yeah, and you also have like a lot of aspect ratio shifting stuff.
Yes.
going
That's
on.
true. So no matter what you do, there's going to be black
Yeah.
bars appearing anyway. You might
I
as well.
think. I think it may be like, if there's 4:3 scenes, they probably will be formatted correctly.
Yeah, I think that could make
But
sense.
any widescreen scenes are probably going to be widescreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, letterboxing is like the truly based way to do it. Anyhow, yeah. So I
Oh,
totally
I'm
get
glad
it.
I'm glad you think
glad
that.
you do agree.
Yeah.
you gotta preserve that directorial integrity.
Yeah, nobody wants to... I don't know why people want to pay for less image on the screen.
It's true. All right, yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah,
All
thanks
right,
for the
yeah.
question.
Of course, yeah. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. And I think I'm going to immediately run that up with Echo 419.
I wanted to get them up too.
Trying to get some of the unusual suspects here.
Cool.
You know?
Sounds good.
Cool.
What's up?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
My English is not very good, so I apologize in advance. I just wanted to say on behalf of a friend that you made a very inspiring game to him, actually. That and he wanted to ask if there's any planned translations in the future.
Thank you for your friend's enthusiasm, and I'm happy that the game's meaningful to them.
Yeah.
There's no plans for further localization, mainly because it's very expensive not even just like paying for the localization, but just the thorough testing, and to like get that onto consoles and to like do certification across, Nintendo and PlayStation. Like it's really expensive. So like, yeah, maybe if IV like somehow made $1 bajillion and we could pay someone to do it, and it wasn't a time sink on our own, we'd be more open to it. But as of now, it doesn't seem very realistic that we will do languages beyond the two, which is English and Japanese.
Yep. So you heard them, guys. Get 100 YIIK copies out there, and we'll get other languages.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's get Palika.
Alright, I gotta ask, why does the Golden Alpaca in the original version of the cutscene say lemonade when he enters?
This is a really good question. So the role of the Golden Alpaca is to take attention away from Rory. It's Alex, who's the narrator of the story, has control over everything you're seeing. So he inserts a non sequitur that makes the story about his emotions, and that has two roles. One is it's about how you can have tragedy around you, but the sort of forces of nature don't really care, and you're experiencing this horrible thing. That's from Rory's perspective. But then the sort of Golden Alpaca coming in is basically just like doesn't matter what you're experiencing, things are just gonna march on as they are. When the sound effects were made for the Golden Alpaca, the intent of the scene was explained to the person to Jose, who had done the enemy sound effects. And his idea was to make him scream lemonade as like a sort of, call for attention. I actually don't know why lemonade. I don't know what the thought was. I don't know if it's a reference to something or if it's
I always thought it was supposed to be like eliminate, because there's an enemy in the game, the roller bot, which says eliminate, but it sounds a lot like lemonade.
Maybe.
So whenever it was like a
that
personal joke with that.
Somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true. I mean, someone had told me that it was a Charlie the Unicorn reference. I'm like, but I don't remember a lemonade thing in that old meme. So it's possible that there's some old internet video out there that has something to do with a llama or an alpaca or some sort of creature that looks similar, and lemonade is part of a bit, and he was referencing that. But I actually don't know the answer to it.
If that's what it is, I didn't hear.
I don't know.
I'd be curious.
I have no idea. We got those sound effects maybe 2 weeks before the game came out, and we didn't get a chance to say, what does this mean, or redo this. It was just like, this is what we got. They're going in the game. The game's coming out.
Right.
We got to move forward.
Silence. That's good.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Beyond the context I gave you.
Some very interesting insight.
Just belongs right in the middle of the iceberg.
Maybe finding the answer to that question is how you get the third ending.
No.
Get out of here. Bye. Anyways, let's get frequent merch designer Rope Snake up on stage.
Hey.
Hey, Rope Snake.
What's up?
How's it going?
How goes it?
Good. Congrats.
Thank
obviously.
you.
Completing.
Thanks a lot.
It's a huge accomplishment. I wanted to ask, what is all of your favorite characters, new characters, I should say?
There's so many good ones. There's a lot of new characters. Well, narrative-wise, it's Kasagi X is my favorite, followed by Handsome Crow.
Nice.
But design-wise, it's probably Michelle and Alexa.
It's pretty good. I feel like I want to cheat and say like William, but
That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, you stole that one from God when he designed Wilfred, so I don't know.
that's fair.
Oh, I just want to say this on stream, that you guys peaked before IV when making characters, when you made Amelia.
True, true.
That's fair.
That's true. Amelia's
Only
a good
real
character
ones,
design. That's some deep lore.
Awesome. Well, I think you guys knocked it out of the park.
Thanks
I'm really
a lot.
excited for everyone
Well,
to,
hold on.
to play.
You've played IV. Who's your favorite new character?
It's definitely Asuka.
Good choice.
She's awesome. She's so strange, but also very bubbly. She's cool. She does a lot of cool stuff.
Nice.
Good choice.
It's a good choice.
Design-wise, though, I don't know, Brian. You kind of go hard on everyone, but I really like Nameless. I think she has a great design.
Cool.
It's very, very good.
No matter what you say, I win.
That's
All right,
true.
thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Rupsnek.
See ya. How about we get Pale up next?
Yeah, Pale.
Hello,
Hello,
gents.
Vale.
Hey.
Hi there.
Hello.
Good.
So is it alright if I ask a question now?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's what this is for.
Since there's a lot of new characters, you know, all this kind of stuff, is there going to be like a change in dynamic with the original group? You know, is Rory still, well, not only in just like dynamic but also in gameplay? Like, is Rory still going to be like a pacifist and pacifist take and all?
Okay.
And everything.
Yeah, great question.
That's a lot.
It's Rory's function in battle stays the same, but he is more useful now. As for the dynamics between the characters, do you mean in combat or do you mean in the narrative?
Both, a little.
The dynamic in combat has evolved because of the bleeding system and a character's speed
it's
is
like iterative.
Yeah,
it's a next step of, hey, this is who they were now. They're a little more than that.
Yeah, and as for the character dynamics, yes, they do change, but I think we found clever ways of doing it without that impacting the sort of original story that's still present in the game, just told in a better way. But there's no like retconning of how characters interact with each other.
They're still the same guys they were in 1.0.
That's true.
Yippee!
Yeah, maybe even
Great
earlier.
question.
Yeah, thanks.
One more thing. I am sorry if the question I asked in a text chat, well, it seems like a troll question. Sneeze. Since you're the one who answered it.
Oh, no problem. I'm just trying to make sure the stream goes by quickly without getting too hung up on text questions, because we got a lot of voice people here.
Yeah, we're kind of mostly focusing on like highlight ones that are like questions the most people would have that might be important for them to know,
or that haven't been asked much before.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You just have a good night.
Thanks a
You
lot.
too, thanks.
Let's try and move into a lightning round. Just try and do a bunch back to back.
All right, we're gonna do Clip Brick next.
Yeah, Clip Brick.
Hey, Cliprick.
Hey.
Hey guys, congratulations on the release of IV in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And seriously, it's really amazing that you guys made it this far. I just have a question that is outside Y2K in general. Well, you guys did splendid for Starstruck, and it's really amazing from what I've seen in the live stream. And concerning what I've seen in IV as well, you guys really deserve all the praise for your efforts. Do you guys have any plans for future projects that you would like to contribute that are like in the future, like MrTenda as well?
Well, Brian and I really hope to make another game with MrTenda. We have some early ideas for stuff. So I don't know, MrTenda, what do you think? Are we gonna ever make another game?
Is that the question? If we're gonna collaborate together?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. Just you guys, just say the word. I mean, we already kind of are on the next project, but yeah, you guys are the best. I mean, working with Andrew and Brian, these guys are true artists. Like I would, when we were working on Starstruck, I would just say some stuff and. Maybe at times I didn't even know what I was talking about, but I remember Brian would come up with these visuals, and at the time I knew this really clicks. And
That's
then
good.
like I wouldn't understand why. And then years later, I would like be reading a book, or it would just pop into my head, and I finally understand why Brian structured something the way he did. You know, these guys are one of a kind, and you know, they're also my
For
good friends.
real.
So yeah, I mean, anyone who can collaborate with them is really lucky.
As someone who has played Y2K IV, the demo long ago, I was really hoping for the success of the full game in general, for the full update, I mean, and I'm still waiting to for the people to check it out in general. Like, I'm really, really impressed by the visuals, and I feel like most of the issues that I've been hearing about must have been dealt with, and it's very good because it does feel like the game is getting a redemption, and I hope people does give it another approach. You know?
Yeah, thank you for those kind words and your well wishes. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
I really do. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, we're getting Frail Dog up next. Thank you, Clipper.
I'm a bit nervous because I was hoping.
4.
Dude,
Just
come
do
on.
it.
All right, so I have a question about sunglasses.
Okay.
And glasses in general. Like, there's characters in the game that wear different frames of glasses and sunglasses, and like, you know, the aviators are a thing. And I was wondering in IV if there's going to be like a bigger focus on the idea of glasses. Like, they say, like, there's some NPCs with like red glasses that say interesting stuff. I sound crazy right now.
I mean, I gotta say, you gotta look to the girl with the star-shaped glasses to really understand the function of the glasses in.
Glasses
in
are
IV.
cool.
Can I say another one really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I have my conspiracy theories part of my deviation perspective book open. Vela talks about calling the dead and using their social security number, and like, do you think there's any way to input a social security number for the save points to call certain people?
No comment.
Oh, fuck, man. All right.
That's a good answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
All right, we're
You're
gonna
getting too
invite
close to
Sarek
the
up.
center, man.
Remember to put a hit out on Frail Dog.
Hey, so can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey.
Hey,
Hello?
how's it-
Hey, here?
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is a short one. First of all, congratulations for everything you have done. IV looks amazing, and I'm really hyped to play it like right now, but it's almost 2 weeks away. Yeah. So
thank you.
I really want to play. Yeah. My other question is if there has been one there is the bug or so dog or something you haven't anticipated well during the game that you have kept because it was cool or it was fun to get or something.
I'm not sure I understand. Could you repeat it one more time? Because your audio is clipping a little bit. So.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, if you just ask it again, I'll do my best to answer it.
Yeah, I was asking if well developing the game was some interesting bug, or something you have anticipated with creating it. Would you have keep then you have keep it, or you go away because for you guys was something interesting or fun or cool to keep?
So, okay, let me just make sure that I did understand. You're asking if there was anything interesting or unexpected that happened while developing the game that we could share?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
No. Yeah.
Is that what you were asking? I want to make sure that I...
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of interesting stuff that was unexpected, like, Well, one, my child was conceived and born in the development of making the game, and that actually threw off developing the game in a lot of ways. Like, our schedule had to change a lot. Like, all of a sudden, like, you know, me and Brian were taking care of the baby. We're also working on the game. So, like, you know, he's 18 months now. So, like, the last 18 months, he has been present for the development of it, and he's become, like, more aware of the game. So, like, now, like, he looks at the screen and he goes, wow. So it's really sweet to see. So that's interesting. It also makes me realize that maybe I need to make some more child-friendly games, because everything I make, I don't think I could show him.
Yeah.
And if he was more aware, I might be like,
just wait 18 years, dude. It's
yeah, maybe like 25 years. I don't know. It makes me question some of my choices, but yeah, I think that was an interesting thing. I don't know, Brian, do you have anything?
Nothing comes to mind at the moment, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm sure there was something.
That's a really good story. Yeah, that's some great to me.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
All
Thanks to you guys.
Bye.
What's up, Salty Mint?
Yo, what up?
Hey.
Hey.
I always tend to mull over the question that I want to ask, because I've asked so many questions on each of these panels. I guess the one I want to focus on for this one, because I'll often have conversations with my best friend in terms of like narratives and stories, and he's the type he doesn't really prefer having a lot of subtext in the story. He prefers for stories to be a bit more direct. I remember he even hyperbolically joked one time, it's like, any writer that relies too much on subtext is a damn coward. But I've always been interested in a wide variety of different ways of telling a story. Well, he's kind of like a bit more of like absurdism to tell, like to better expound upon really complicated subjects.
But doesn't absurdism require subtext? I want to talk to this guy. I don't know. I have to have a
No,
conversation.
That's kind of the question that I have.
It was absolutely fucking hyperbole to mess with me.
Okay. I think the subtext of what he's saying is that he's an idiot. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a metaphor.
So, but what were you gonna ask?
Yeah. I suppose it's like in terms of, because personally speaking, it's like some of my main experience with postmodern storytelling is just like through your writings, and so I have like very little actual experience with it outside, and I wasn't sure what would be, because I know that Murakami is often referenced in the season, or at the very least he's the most well-known reference for the series. So I'd be curious to ask, is like, hey, what would be sort of the best place to start, so that I can, because knowing me, it takes me a lot of time to like sort of understand the subtext of stories, just because I tend to take things very directly, very as they come. That's why it took me so long to like start to understand some of the subtext of YIIK in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess the first thing I want to say about postmodernism is postmodern art is downstream of postmodern philosophy. So like the philosophical movement of postmodernism is basically that it was something that was, you know, sort of like struggled with, and then it was inspired art. So like there's a lot of art that is postmodern in a way, but is not necessarily engaging with postmodern ideas. So there's like an aesthetic of postmodernism that has emerged. So often people talk about a postmodern author, but they aren't necessarily dealing with postmodernism directly. So like, you know, Murakami is, there are elements of postmodernism to his writing, but his narratives are not necessarily strictly postmodern narratives. So like, you know, he does, his books have a lot of, you know, what's called intertextuality, where he'll be writing about another author and a character will be engaging with like a book or something, or a piece of music, and then that sort of cross-pollinates with the story he's telling. So what you need to know is postmodernism is basically this idea that the modern era had everybody believing in a shared narrative. And this shared narrative was a story that told you how to understand your life. And postmodernism was this extreme skepticism towards the shared narrative of the greater culture. So the shared narrative of the form of a painting, the shared narrative of the form of a symphony, the shared narrative of, so like let's take the West, you know, everyone was united under Christianity for so long. That was one meta narrative that everyone understood their lives through. But then in the postmodern era, people begin to deconstruct or question these notions. So this philosophical movement inspires writers to go, let's look at the form of a story and let's be skeptical towards why are we telling a story in this way, or why do stories have to have happy endings, or, you know, basically like let's take the general assumptions of storytelling and let's take it apart. And then let's see what happens if we fail to put it back together. So that's like postmodernism right there, the sort of extreme skepticism towards meta-narratives. But then postmodern art is, you know, dealing with that in a different way. So to answer the question of like who are some postmodern writers you could look at, you know, Thomas Pynchon is of course like probably the quintessential postmodern writer. You know, he wrote Inherent Vice or Gravity's Rainbow. I really like a book called Rant: An Oral History of Buster Casey by Chuck Palahniuk. And I would say if you're going to try and, you know, look at a story with a ton of subtext and questioning the form of storytelling in a meaningful way that isn't just cynicism, you should start with Rant by Chuck Palahniuk.
All right, sweet. And I'm glad I can keep my title for the longest conversation in the lightning round. Like 5.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get longer than that.
We needed subtext.
Right.
We
Get
needed
out of here,
context.
Rory,
5 streams
I
running,
messed up
baby.
inviting you up here. Okay, let's see who we're going to get next. Oh.
Hold on. I really quickly
Who's
just
next?
want to ask a self-indulgent question of Andrew.
Okay, what is it?
Did you think the shit you were writing for Alex was funny, or were you losing your mind?
Of course it's funny. Of course it is.
It's very funny.
Of course it is. Like you know, there's an element of absurdism to it, right? Like you've got a guy who sees himself as the center of reality, but the stuff that he cares about is the most unimportant shit in the universe.
Yeah.
That's funny.
This
Like,
is something I really want to illustrate to a lot of people because it's a hang-up I get when talking to people about the game a lot, is that they don't see how it's funny. But, like, these people love shit like, you know that one Twilight fan fiction? What's it called again?
My Immortal.
My Immortal.
Isn't that Harry Potter fan fiction?
You're right.
Okay, but I know what you're talking about. This is what I want to say about this topic, right? Okay, I have to caveat this because I know how people will take words that I say and remove the caveat. So, by evoking this title, I am by no way comparing myself in terms of quality to it. I hold this work in high regard and do not think that I'm anywhere near the talent of this writer. Okay. Successfully self-flagellated enough there.
Disclaimer out of the way.
Yeah, Alan Wake is the same joke as Y2K. You've got this pretentious writer who sucks, who thinks he's like this great writer, and he's like a sort of like hack Stephen King, and that's funny. It's funny how over the top his narrations are and how much that is like embedded into the horror of his circumstance. Like it's a very similar joke.
Yeah.
And I didn't play Alan Wake until like, you know, when it came out to the Switch. So it was well after I, you know, written Y2K, and I'm playing it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is like the same idea. It's like the same shtick of like making fun of the overly, you know, flowery speaker.
It's so crazy because like No More Heroes is like that as well because, you know, Travis thinks he's this cool anime protagonist, but he's actually just kind of a loser who's obsessed with trying to.
But he looks so cool. He looks so cool though. That's why
Spec Ops The Line, where the guy thinks he's like this cool military hero, but he just sucks. Or The Beginner's Guide, where this guy thinks he's a really cool video essayist, but actually he's stupid.
This is the meta narrative. This is the meta narrative that those postmodern works are engaging with. The meta narrative of like, you know, the okay, first off, like you look at a noir, okay, like a noir, detective noir, you've got a narrator who's telling you their internal thought, and it's in this very overly flowery prose, okay? If you take that and you go, hey, what if that guy was a stupid asshole? That's it. That's that's the postmodern move right there. That's the game.
Yeah.
What if a guy who read too much Murakami insisted on telling you how important he is? Like, that's the bit. It's not complicated.
By the way, I want to point out that if you go back and you actually read many of the original Alan Wake reviews when the original game came out, a lot of people did not get it. They actually deducted points from the review because they thought Alan Wake's writing, he writes a book in the game, right? And they thought like his writing as a character was not good, and they took that off. Actually, they took points off.
Wild.
Interesting.
Okay, so it's not a popular joke.
It's not a popular joke. It's one. It's one
No,
people.
but I
who...
think players got it though.
I think it's
say.
popular, just in a different context than the one you guys use.
It's not popular among people who write for a living. Maybe
it's cringe compilations.
No, that's not
like
it
the
either.
reality of it seems to be that like people don't like when they're told that that's the joke. They like to kind of come to realize it and then go, oh yeah, that's cool, that's why this is funny.
Sure,
and
but
you can't tell them that's the joke. It has to be like this in-joke.
The thing is, like, it doesn't work if you have a scene where the character goes, everything I've been telling you this whole time was pretentious and self-absorbed. I can't believe I'm having this experience. Guys, that doesn't... If you need the story to show that to you, you are afraid of having an interpretation. You are afraid to interpret the work. But every work of art, and regardless of quality, is inviting you to interpret it. And if you
All right,
won't...
we got my best friend, Spiffy, here, ready to ask a question.
Hey, Spiffy.
Hey.
I was not going to shut up about that. You guys triggered my hyperfixation.
Thank you for indulging me.
Yeah,
I really
thanks.
had to ask you that one.
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey.
Hopefully this question will have a much shorter answer. It's more about the combat. No, I hadn't played Nameless Psychosis since it came out, so forgive me if I'm misremembering any mechanics. But my question was, will it be possible to in any way reduce some of the animations? Like, I'm thinking of the vampire in particular. Over the course of just the hour-long demo, it started to feel a little excessive. That and the card animations. So I'm wondering if there's any way to reduce that over the course of a whole.
Some
playthrough.
animations can be skipped by just pressing the button.
Is that right?
Yeah, others, you'll just have to sit through it.
Well, because the animation has to do with the timeline moving as well.
Yes.
But you can increase the battle speed. I'm remembering.
I must have forgot about that, or maybe it wasn't.
might be maxed out by default.
Oh, okay, yeah, it might be maxed out by default.
But the game also gets faster as your party members get faster.
Yeah, as you
because
level
they
up
move
and gain
along
speed.
the timeline faster. So you might actually
Okay.
find by the end it's too fast, and you need to slow it down just to sort of keep up. But
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate that because it started to feel a little excessive, but
yeah.
it looks good though.
I'm pretty sure when you get into it, that's not going to be your concern. Your concern is going to be bleeding to death. But
Right.
I hope I'm
and-
correct.
That was my only question, but for the sake of Boy, the Sonic Avatar, they've been wanting to ask you two how you feel about moths.
Well, I look
The
forward to
bugs,
that.
Moths.
Moth?
Yeah, what do you think?
C tier, maybe?
As an
I agree.
insect or as a
Wow.
concept?
Yeah.
A rank bug.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
well,
one.
Thanks, though.
Oh, there you go, Boy. Thank you for answering my question. You guys have a good one.
You too.
What's going on, Fented Pie?
Yo, what's going on, boys? All right, so I'm actually fairly new to this Discord in particular. I personally watched my friend. He's in the chat as well. His name is Scarp. Play through the entirety. Okay. I haven't physically played the game myself. He would have a lot more talk on the actual combat and more gameplay mechanics than I would. I'm more focused on the story itself. So I was just curious because I know Andrew is here. Have you ever watched the show Dark? Just curious at all.
Yeah, I've watched Dark. Yeah, Dark
Okay,
is great.
so I'm watching through that right now, and being in this made me think about how Dark is not, I'm not going to say exactly the same, but I would say your story does share a little similarities with Dark. Not obviously not to the extent where I think you copied or anything, and yours came out much prior. But what I mean is, like, in terms of like that sort of timeline sort of shenanigans that we got going on with like changes and stuff like that. I think my more so question is towards the latter half of the game, I find that the story got a little I don't know if convoluted's the right word, or more so like just I kind of lost a little bit of the plot there. I wanted to know personally, with like the update and everything like that coming, is like the latter half of that game gonna kind of like, is it gonna get a bit more smoothed out? Are we gonna get a bit more answers to some unknowns and stuff like that? Because that was like my big thing, is like while watching and engaging with the story, I kind of lost the sort of like cleanness that I felt, especially the first half of the game had.
Yes and no. It's more compelling in the later half, and the game does have answers. Like you will get answers to certain questions. That's definitely there. But you might have noticed that a lot of narratives become more abstract as they go on. That in the final half of a story is often like a moment of revelation, where instead of being told something with a concrete exposition, you are like basically like hit with symbolism.
Yeah. Okay. I could definitely see that.
This is true for Kingdom Hearts. This is true for Final Fantasy. This is true for the Bible. This is true for even like Harry Potter. It's like you get to this point where the chaos of all the themes that are introduced in a story they've built like a pressure, and the only way that the pressure can release is by revealing something to you on an unconscious level, and the thing that it's revealing to you is through symbols, like a dream. So like the thing is, this is done better in IV, but the idea remains the same. I think that when you get to the end of IV, you're going to understand the symbols and the revelation. You know, the word revelation really means to unveil something. So it's like you have a story that's covering some sort of truth, and at the end, the cloth is pulled off of it, and the thing, you look into the face of truth, and you can't comprehend it. But then you eventually do, because you reflect on the chaos of it all, and you have to order it in some way.
So we're still gonna get I would say nothing wrong with definitely like some ambiguity or like what you make of anything.
Sure.
I love stories like that. I would say like this ending is definitely going to be along those lines, where it's kind of like what you make of it is what you're trying to get at.
Not really what it's not really what I'm trying to say. Okay. I'm trying to say that it is going to remain for something to be symbolic. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have an answer, right? And it doesn't mean that it's like choose one of many things. It's just the way that the truth is told to you is not, I have learned my lesson, I must now become this guy, everything I believed was wrong, I now believe this, given to you in the form of a soliloquy.
Okay.
That's really what I'm trying to say.
It's funny, you're just abstract.
It's a lot like the difference between like a children's TV show at the end, and the moral of the story is this, but just not saying that.
Yeah, the way
just kind of illustrating it.
I want to hear Brian's point on this.
I was gonna say the way that you described all of that is exactly a perfect description of Andrew dream of Electric Sheep. Like,
that's a great example of this. Yes, everything the dam breaks and all the symbols drown you.
I do like that. I like that a lot. I definitely have an appreciation for writing, and especially when like things aren't thrown in your face and kind of have a bit more left with like I don't know, takes a more mature approach, I think is the best way to put it. Is definitely one thing I appreciate. So at least I'm looking forward to the second half of the game.
So
I just want to talk about that.
Well, one thing I just want to point out is it is called Y2K, a postmodern role-playing game. So this means that you must role-play as a postmodernist. The game presents you with a meta-narrative about your life, and it asks you to engage as a postmodernist and you know, apply to the meta narrative presented to you, you know, all the sort of skepticism and critical analysis that would be expected of someone who's a postmodernist. So, you know, that
Alex would be a postmodernist.
no, Alex
Sorry,
is
this is not
no.
a term.
Alex
Oh,
is,
okay.
you are
I am.
you the player. You're the one who's role playing as it, because, you know, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played it, but the game says something about, you know, about you, and there's a story being told about you the player, and, you know, that's the meta narrative that you're engaging with as a postmodernist.
Okay.
Alex is very much a modernist in the sense that he sees this cohesive. He's like a modern nihilist in a way, right? Like he thinks that the meaning he imposes onto reality is cohesive, and that he's going to be able to order his life based on his own whim, because life is what he makes of it, and he does this to the point of destroying reality. And he still can't figure out why that works. Why is what's missing here? And then you, as the postmodernists, are, you know, saddled with that question.
So, okay. I definitely, I feel like I'm getting on the right track there. I apologize. I don't mean to take up a lot of time.
No, it's okay. It's an interesting question, and I think it's
like the story is rather engaging. I mentioned Dark previously, where it's the idea that like essentially a convergence. Now, when playing through the game, or when I watched my buddy play through the game, and I was there for the ride, it kind of got to the point where I found Alex was essentially like a convergence of some sort. Mind you, I never really, I guess, understood that too much. If you could give me just a brief explanation on essentially how Alex actually ends up like there, like he is essentially a convergence of like, you know, because we see multiple different versions of him, and then obviously he can choose different outcomes and things like that. So I was just curious on like how exactly that does work within this in the game.
No.
Or in the story, sorry.
No, I'm not going to explain that tonight. That's too
You're not
much.
gonna explain
Yeah,
it?
that
It's
might
too much.
take a little while.
It's going to take a while,
It's a
and it's going
complicated
to.
answer.
I don't want to spoil the
I-
game for people who may have not played it to the end yet.
Okay.
And also, I think when you play IV, you're going to find that you're going to be able to interpret the game a little easier.
Okay.
So definitely play IV.
I greatly look forward to that.
Yeah, I think IV will answer that for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah. It's funny because I think 1.5 is going to help a lot of people, but it's also fucked up in new ways.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Well, then that's kind of.
Well, it kind of has to be that way, doesn't it?
I mean, no one's going to talk about
Yeah.
it if it's like Hellcry said, a
Yeah.
children's story that says.
I
and the
believe
moral
all
is-
the answers are there for people who want them, and they're pretty easy to obtain. But it's
Yeah, I think it goes a long way with it just by making everything more engaging and more entertaining.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
just
When-
that alone will make people understand it more.
Yeah, having cutscenes animated force you to pay attention to them in a way that you couldn't in the original. Like, not for lack of trying, but there's only so much you can, like, read a text box.
Yeah.
Without anything
So, how
happening.
many more questions you guys want to do?
Let's do 3 more at most.
Yeah, well, there's a really quick question. It's a yes or no question.
Okay.
Is the question ever said directly in the game? The one mentioned throughout the mine dungeon.
Said it's a show don't tell kind of thing that people are so into.
Yep.
Okay. Chris Modius, hop on stage. Perhaps. Maybe.
But do we have to hop him on? Oh, yeah, you've been invited, Chris Modius. You there?
Yeah, if not, we can get Alex. Want to get Alex? Oh, there's Chris Modius.
There you are.
They're deafened.
They're deafened real quick.
Maybe if we yell loud enough, they can hear us.
There
Hey,
we
what's
go.
up?
Welcome to the stage.
Hey.
Hello.
How's it
Can you
going?
hear me?
Sure can.
Yeah, we can.
So, my question is, there will be any physical release of Y2K IV?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's pretty hype.
It is.
It is, yeah.
It's good, Alex. What's
Hey.
up?
Hello, Alex.
Hey, Alex.
I wanted to ask you, earlier in the stream, you mentioned certain areas having this dreamlike feeling to them, and there are several references to dreams throughout the game, and in the lyrics, like, several songs, like, reference to dreams. So there's, like a theme going on here, and I'm wondering if you'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the idea of parallel realities, and dreams sort of being a place where you sort of see a parallel version of your life that you never actually interact with, right? Because the whole idea of the parallel reality is like it's two things that never converge. So it's like a theme of Y2K actually isn't convergence. It's voyeurism for things you can't possess. And one of the things that dreams do is they instill a sense of longing in you. Like, I could have been that, or what if this was the circumstance? Or, like I see a lot of, I hate the fact that I have to use this expression. I see a lot of the human condition being confronting the question of, like, why are things one way rather than the way I'd prefer? And dreams have a way of, like, arresting us and putting us in a position where it shows us something that we'd probably prefer, because it's like this fantasy. So it's like, that's like the role of the dream in Y2K. It's like a sort of greater metaphor for the parallel life.
One thing
very
I think
interesting.
about with it is, like, when you're in a dream or like in a dreaming state, things like connect together that it doesn't have to be formed in logic at all. Like, you move from one thing to another thing and they don't have to be connected at all, but yet still it makes sense. And I think that that's also, like, present in the way that, like, IV, like, more so IV than Y2K itself, like, especially, Nameless Psychosis. When you go into the factory hotel, you start moving through, like, completely weird areas by just going through a door.
Yeah. Well, I mean, quite a bit of the ideas came from dreams, whether dreams Brian had or dreams I had, or even just, like, observations we've had about how dreams actually work, so, like, even the entities themselves are basically sleep paralysis demons.
That's very interesting. Say, I really like that music I heard earlier. Where could I purchase that?
You can purchase the soundtrack from YIIK I.V. on andrewallenson.bandcamp.com. I will put
andrewallenson.bandcamp.com.
Oh, and Linguistic put it in the chat. So, yeah, please buy it.
I think
Please
I'll go and pre-order it right now.
Please do. Please support the development of the free update, this massive, crazy free update.
All right.
And I'm also going to go on Steam.com and purchase Starstruck: The Hands of Time.
Yes, definitely do that. And you can buy the
Now we're
soundtrack.
talking.
You can buy the soundtrack for Starstruck: Hands of Time on Steam
Absolutely.
as well.
All right, Andrew, I'll let you pick the last person that you're going to talk to. The last question.
Yeah, we got Salmonez. We got Rory kissing account. We got Been There, Done That. Eco419, who I think was already in the stream.
They were, yeah. Don't do that.
I am Salmonus
Okay.
for sure.
All right.
okay.
What's up?
I'm a lucky monkey.
Hey.
Hey, you better not have a funny accent.
Oh wait, you can hear me well, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Oh,
Okay,
you're
cool.
English.
My question was, YIIK's been in development for quite a while, obviously. And I was curious how the style, like the actual 3D modeling, if you felt like it evolved all the way from, like, 1.25 to 1.5.
Yeah,
anything like that? If you feel like the style.
I definitely think it's evolved over time. I think colors have gotten brighter, which I'm more a fan of. I think the oldest versions of the models didn't have shadows on the sides of them that they do now. That kind of makes them pop a little bit better. There's just a lot of tiny little changes that I've made. Some aspects of the models have gotten lower poly, but in a way that enhances it instead of being a limitation.
Yeah.
I was talking with Andrew about this, but when I was playing through the prototype recently, I noticed that you had a lot of flat colors, and it was really colorful.
Yeah.
And then you kind of moved away from that for a minute, and used a lot of gradients and some detailed textures. And then with IV, you've definitely come all the way back to having really bright colors, but the selection is so much better. It's so much more vibrant and interesting looking.
I think the change probably came from intuiting that the colors could have been better and wondering if maybe it was a lack of detail, but ultimately the instinct was right, that the brighter colors was the answer, and color choice was the sort of the missing element.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it
I've
looks
definitely
better
gotten
now.
better at working with color. It doesn't help that my previous game was in black and white.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
You got anything else for us, Sam?
Dance, maybe?
Oh, wait, sorry. Wait, okay. I have a good question. Sorry. Good question. Wait, I have a good question for everyone. Do you have a book recommendation?
Yes, I do have a book recommendation. I want to make sure I get the author's name right.
All right, cool. On my side, you can do Android Dream of Electric Sheep, I just mentioned before. It's a good book, classic.
That's a great book. If you want, so two books that are pretty short. One is Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. She's a contemporary writer. She's wonderful. Heaven is my favorite book by her. Another book is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Jeff Vandermeer is my favorite.
Oh, yeah, I keep hearing that's good.
Yeah, he's my favorite American author, probably of all time.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I've got a good book recommendation for everyone, especially for Andrew, which is The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
I know you keep telling me to read it. It's just, it's one of these days I'll get to it.
Oh, I'm trying to get into reading on my own myself because I've been reading the Bible, but I haven't. I really want to try and.
That's a hard thing to read.
Reading.
Yeah. I mean, this is honestly if you want to get into finishing a book and getting through something that has a great story and great writing, you should read Lamani Snickett's A Series of Unfortunate Events. It is a children's book, but it's amazing.
It's really good.
It's really, really, really good, and it is a work of postmodernism. So it's wonderful. Yeah.
Postmodern for kids?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah.
That's correct.
It's wonderful. You should read that. Yeah. And there's 13 of them or something, and they're all really good. They get a little longer each time, and really funny.
The edges of the pages aren't the same length, which is cool.
Yeah, it's got a great artwork too. It's really well illustrated.
So they still, I'm hoping they still sell those.
Yeah, you can still get those books for sure. I see them at the bookstore.
I will 100% check out. Thank you for answering my question, and also thank you for the stream. I had a lot of fun, and I'm so excited for IV.
Thanks a lot. Right. I appreciate you being here.
I love you.
Okay.
Okay, Andrew. I've got one last question for you guys.
Okay.
Was it worth it?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
It was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it to get to meet, everyone who I thanked earlier before. I mean, it'd be a good time for me to read that list again because I want to make sure it wasn't muted.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I had a list of people. Okay, good. I'll do it again. Alex Tyler, Zapdy, Boy Into the Rolling Morn, Brian. Two Brian's supposed to read. I read the stage direction. Spooky, Cheryl, Linguistic Spaceship, Sneeze, Frail Dog, Hellcry, Rion, Knights, Eli. Shouted out Brenton Kingsley, but we knew him before we were making this game. I mean, it's been worth it just to continue to form like this, great friendships with people, and even just for your enjoyment to have made this, even if it doesn't grow beyond the people who are looking at it now. I mean, I think it was a hefty sacrifice worth making, building this for the past 3 years. So yeah, definitely worth it. And I want to invite Brigid and MrTenda to unmute as well, just so I can thank both of you too. Brigid, thank you for having drawn the artwork so long ago, and MrTenda, thank you for supporting the game, and actually like understanding the schizo vision of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, you guys are the best.
Cool. And with that, please play Y2K IV on December 2nd. If you already own the game, consider buying it for a friend. It's the type of thing that word of mouth is going to be very important for. It's hard to advertise an update for a game. So like the more people who tell other people about it, the better. So please do that.
It's bigger than you think, and more people will
Guys,
like it than you think.
you have no idea how big it is. It's freaking massive.
There's a reason it took this long.
Yes, it's not just updated cutscenes and a battle mode. It's a lot more. It really is a whole new game.
I think you guys are gonna like it.
Yeah.
Can
Okay,
I just
guys.
say that I'm so proud of you guys and all your hard work and everything that you've done.
Oh, well,
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And with that, I think I'm going to invite everyone onto the stage. Mods, help me out, please.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.
We did this before.
We have indeed.
Wow. What's
That's when Andrew
tradition for this stream to just go to hell?
Yeah. This time I'm gonna let it happen. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Feel free to turn it off whenever you please.
Yeah. Okay. On the count of 3, let's say Happy Yick. 1, 2,